Got it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, no Wimkin tonight. They are still updating their software and getting it all set up for you. Just FYI, we will be live with them again soon, just not tonight. So if you have any Wimkin friends, let them know. We would appreciate it. Thank you. Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. Yes, we have two of Olivia because we are waiting for Damani to show. He took a baby nap and just woke up. So he's struggling a little bit to get on, and he will be on soon, which is fine. It's good to see everybody. Wimkin is not going to be on tonight like we said. Olivia went to the old mailbox. We got some goodies. And we're going to share those with you tonight from all of the listeners. Pleasantly surprising, right, Liv?
Yes, very.
Pretty cool.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the continuing resolution for the budget. We will be talking about a whole bunch of stuff. A little drone funny. Talking about some of the Trenda de la Agua, whatever the hell they're called, the gang. Yeah, I'm really on top of it tonight in Colorado and what happened there. And a bunch of other stuff. So make sure if you want to, you can call in. We would appreciate it. Goal will be up shortly. Melanie, I'm glad you got your shirts today and they look good. That's also awesome. So this migrant gang we've been hearing a lot about, we're going to go, it's Tren de Aragua. It's a gang, also known as TDA. And they officially, New York told us, oh, everything's fine. Everything's going to be okay. Or Colorado told us everything's okay. It's going to be fine.
Totally.
Well, it wasn't. We'll talk about that as well. A couple of other headlines. We'll keep you abreast of the whole situation. We'll see you guys in about 3 minutes. Hopefully, Big D will be in the house at that point. Snap it to a Wimkin.
Howdy, y'all. This is Damani Felder. These are
Damani, gosh, thanks for joining, buddy. Gosh, it's so good to see you, man. You look great. I love that still picture. You look fantastic.
Times in American history.
I don't know what you're talking about. Can you just say hi?
And now more than ever, we need individuals who are willing to wage war on the
I don't want to wage war, bro. I just want you to say hi and welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show.
Logical battlefield with like-minded individuals.
Dude, you talk too much and too many big words. We don't understand.
And I got no better place to start than my friends at the Don't Unfriend Me show.
Yeah, so forget it.
Thank you for being here and enjoy the show.
I think your drone video is more convincing than that.
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
You're looking lovely once again, Olivia Spear.
Thank you. Would you mind turning up my headphones just a tad? They're muffled tonight.
Turn
oh my
up.
God.
Does that sound better?
No, turn it down.
Oh. How about that?
Turn it up just a teeny bit.
How about that?
Yeah, that sounds a little better.
Is that better?
Yes.
Because I can,
It sounds echoey, like it's in a tin can right now.
how about that?
It sounds the same. It just sounds like it's in a tin can.
I don't know what that means.
It sounds echoey. Like it was muffled before, and now it just sounds like... It doesn't sound like the richness it usually is. It usually sounds like it's really good, and it sounds, I don't know, sounds tinny to me. I don't know, it sounded great in sound
How about that?
That sounds, nope, still echoey.
How about now? How about now?
A little better. It's weird, though. When I talk, it sounds funky. That's just me. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's not like we can't try to fix it.
Yeah. As we're waiting for our special guest.
I'm going in the main stereo. That's working fine. I don't have it on anything else.
Yeah, you sound fine. Maybe it's just me. I sound off. I don't know.
But you know what? It could be because I changed you to... Try that.
Testing. That sounds even funkier.
What do you mean funk? Okay, bring me your headphones.
Okay.
Just give me your headphones.
Okay.
I don't understand what the hell you're talking
I
about.
don't know if they're going to reach.
You're going to have to find a way because you're the one creating the problem.
They're fine.
No, they're not. I will pay for this. Give me the
Okay, I'm trying.
Say something.
Testing.
Speak.
Testing. Hello, everyone, to the Dumb Unfriend Me show.
Do it again.
Good evening, everyone.
You're on crack.
It sounds funky.
No,
I don't
it
know.
doesn't.
Maybe it's just me.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't sound funky at all. It sounds perfect. So, I think you're on drugs. I think you've spent too many hours away from the show. So why don't you go ahead and tell everyone what we got in the box? What's in the box?
What's in the box? Let me get set up again.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Liv, you're a drag on our resources. You're killing me, Petey.
Well, you're the one who made me take my headphones out.
What the fuck? I didn't make you do any of those things. You're the one who's bitching and complaining.
I don't know. It just sounds funky.
So it doesn't sound funky. I just listened to it. It sounds like it's has for 4 years. Tina Savage sent us a little gift, and Olivia's taking forever, so I'm going to do mine first.
Yes.
And we have a Brothers in Arms Portland Police Department challenge coin. And this is actually a very, very nice challenge coin. There's Damani.
Yay.
Oh, so sorry I'm behind there. My apologies.
Dude, you have a newborn. Are you kidding me?
She's a 1-year-old now, believe it or not. But yeah, she nap trapped me pretty hard there.
That is still newborn. They're always new. They're a pain in the ass for the rest of your life. That's just the way it's going to be. Give me 1 second to give you a background, and we'll have you good to go. I'll have to add you to the other slides, but that is fine. That is an easy fix. How's it going, man? What's new? Dude, you had an amazing trip. Where did you go? Tell us all about it if you can.
Oh, that was so much fun. We went on a cruise to sorry, I can't talk. We went on a cruise on you know how I am. That never happens. We went on a cruise
I just said that in the intro. I just said it. You'll watch the intro. You'll hear it. You'll understand.
Oh God. Yeah, we went to Mexico and Honduras. That's where we went. So it was just fun to kind
Wow.
of get away for a little bit and enjoy some family time. But and
Nice.
also doing so during an election week. I never was really thinking about that when we booked it, and just seeing the mood on the ship kind of change in real time. I thought that was hilarious just to witness, and it was a great time, really good time.
Wow. So Honduras, how was Honduras?
It was actually beautiful. We didn't decide to do any of the crazy, the excursions and whatnot. We just kind of wandered around the little port area they had set up for us. But it was just still fun to, be in a different country and just wander around and, get the obligatory drinking a coconut, all that jazz. But
Yeah.
it was super fun, super fun. And it was honestly pretty warm, even considering what time of year that we went. So we had a great time. But I missed you guys. Thanks for having me back. Means the
Absolutely,
world
dude.
to always be here with you, Matt, and the rest of the team. I'm looking forward to diving into the craziness because you all know the craziness will undoubtedly continue, and
Oh my
it's not
gosh!
going
Well,
anywhere.
we've had a lot because I invited you over for election night, which wound up being a great night. But you're like, I'm going on a cruise, and I'm like, "Pfft, yeah, I would. Can I just go ahead and take your ticket and you can go ahead and do the show? But we were going over something real quick, but we got a lot to go over. So we just received these in the mail. Also, a pen, lapel pin, which will go back on the wall of honor. But I always love challenge coins, and it's awesome when people send them. So this one will go back there. Olivia, what else did we get? We got some great little Christmas knickknacks.
Yes. Also, could you turn my headphones down? That's too loud. I'm sorry. I know. I'm sorry.
Damani, just watch the beginning of the show. You'll understand why
know.
why
I'm
marriages
sorry.
don't last. Go ahead, Liv.
All right. So I want to thank Melanie, and it was also, there was 3 other people. I want to make sure I give them all a shout out. Doug, Paul, and William. They made this amazingly beautiful bracelet for me. It's got the kids' names on these infinity things and then their birthstones. and
They're
hearts.
infinity
Wow.
stones. Oh my God! Snap your fingers. See what happens.
Nope.
You
Nothing.
just need a gauntlet now, right?
I'm missing 3 of them, but
Or a genital cuff
But it's-
because she's a wife.
but
So
it's beautiful and I really appreciate it. And it was very, very thoughtful. and
that is
I love it.
awesome. And then we've got
Then we got some Christmas cards. This one's my favorite. Make Christmas great again.
nice.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, we are so back.
And
That's awesome.
that is from the Jurgemeyers. So thank you very much.
Thank you all so much.
And then we got another one.
That
This
one's
one
cool. Oh, I
is
like that.
from
Hold forward.
Miss Amy Banhammer.
Amy,
We finally got your card.
Beautiful.
Banhammer, Amy Stancombe. Thank you so much.
Yes. And then this one, Chef Lady.
Oh, Chef Lady, thank you so much. Our
from
YouTube
And
Chef
then
Lady.
One more.
Love it.
This one.
Oh, that one's beautiful. Is that the one from
is-
Tina?
Yep.
Yeah,
Tina.
that's a cool looking card.
And then we got notification that we have a big box in there that I can't get to because I get off work after the post office closes. So we'll have to wait till this weekend. To
and I
get it.
guess it's from the military people who sent it to Olivia instead of me, which is I don't take things personal. It's fine.
Well, they've got a crush on me, not you. so.
Whatever. Well, they must not be Navy. They must not be Navy. So listen, we first of all, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yes.
You guys have made it an amazing Christmas. We've got the goals now up on top. We've got a busy show. Damani, as always, doesn't need preparation. He'll walk into a show and just be just fine. So I guess the thing that I wanted to. Oh, and by the way, the mods, you guys will be looking for something in your email. Just FYI, we got little Christmas presents
So if
coming.
you haven't sent me your email, please send it to me.
Yeah, so mods, it's nothing huge. We're doing the best we can.
Huge.
We're huge. But Elon Musk called and said we needed to cut the budget a little bit, so we're trying to do it.
One more thing.
oh.
It's Mike Blankman and his wife's 20th anniversary today.
Happy anniversary, Mike. I didn't know he was
Happy-
married. I didn't know
Yeah.
anyone could tolerate him that long. Mike, congratulations,
funny.
buddy. Good for you.
That's funny.
Damani, it has been a little bit, and you have not given us your election. I've seen your show, and I've seen your videos, and I know what your feels are. But for those not watching your show all the time, and if you're not, you're making a huge mistake. Damani's going to tell you where you can watch his show, and then he's going to tell us what he thinks about Donald J. Trump, number 47. What, Liv?
Sorry,
what
I
did we
didn't
do?
mean to interrupt.
What did
you.
I do?
Hi, Damani. I didn't get to say hi.
Oh.
You need to put up the
Hey.
when people donate. You need to put up the thing.
It's
But
up.
I just did a donation and it didn't flash.
It's probably because it's backfilled because we
Okay.
just started the show, and there's a lot of people who love us.
Just making sure.
We're going to find out, though. Damani, sorry, you guys do your thing. You wanted to say hi to Damani, and then Damani wants to answer the question.
Yes. How are you?
I'm doing great. How
Short
about
and
yourself?
sweet. That's great.
Doing great. All right, Damani, give me a reaction. What's your thoughts on this number 47? It's been a long 4 years. What are your thoughts?
You know, it has been. I mean, thanks so much for having me back here. It's always great to chop it up with y'all. There's so much to be excited about compared to even when we spoke last, just before the election. I know there was so much trepidation, particularly on the right side of the aisle, but our efforts were rewarded, and now we stand on the cusp of yet another 4 years of Trump. Now, I'm curious what that is going to look like, as we know there's forces out there who are going to do everything in their power to get in his way. I would argue that there's so much more work that needs to be done now, particularly when we do have this political momentum. I don't have as professional of a show as y'all. It's just me whenever I go live on my little show once a week. So I have to tip my hat to you there and say one day I will be on your level. But I do my best in my weekly live streams, and you can find me, not just on Facebook at Damani Felder, but also on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitter. I'm sorry, I almost said Twitter, on X. On YouTube as well. I try to encourage people to stay just as active as they were for the 2024 election cycle. And I've been saying this more regularly now. We need to be just as engaged now as we are going to be in 2026, in 2028, in 2030, 2032, 2034, 2036, and add on infinitum, because the left isn't going to stop their efforts to destroy the country, so we cannot afford to stop our efforts from trying to save it.
What was your listen? I know that our predictions were pretty damn solid in 2024. We broke down that he was going to take Republicans, GOP was going to take gubernatorial, was going to take Senate, House, and Trump was going to win. And I think we predicted 100% certainty 6 swing states in our predictions, at least, that we were certain, and one that would be a toss-up, possible, but more than likely leading Trump, which was Michigan. So we got it. I think we did pretty damn well. Were you shocked? Were you surprised to see this? Or did you kind of have a feeling that America was done?
I won't say I was shocked as much as I was relieved. And I say that because I know there were a lot of people on our side of the aisle who actually were hyper-focused on those swing states. It's kind of weird how just a handful of states have started to determine the outcome of elections. And of course, this is where a lot of election fraud can take place if there are ne'er-do-wells involved in that apparatus. So as you watch the numbers come in, I think the one difference between now and 2020 was that in 2020, we almost got caught asleep at the wheel. And myself included, I was an individual who was saying, oh, this is a foregone conclusion. We are going to win this re-election. And then, of course, all the ballots began pouring in the dead of night. Now, we had so many more people who were aware of that, who had followed that trail of information, and who were hyper vigilant on these same swing states in 2024. My best guess is that if there were bad actors within the election apparatus this time around, and of course there were, that they knew that so many people were watching them. They had even Laura Trump and the RNC actively following up on leads of any sort of election chicanery. So they essentially ran out of the ability to do so clandestinely this time what they did so brazenly in 2020. And the most ridiculous thing is seeing those leftists now who are claiming there's been some sort of election interference this time around. Right. Wondering aloud to themselves, where these extra 12 million voters voted for Joe Biden, why didn't they show up and vote for Kamala Harris? A spoiler, it's because they don't exist. And they didn't have enough time to cook the books like they did in 2020. So we got a much different result. I mean, if you look at the election results over time, you see usually they stay within a certain range. And Joe Biden is the one and only outlier. So the beautiful thing about this is that not only were we able to secure the White House, the House, and the Senate, what we were also able to do was once again shine more light on just how erroneous those 2020 election results for Joe Biden truly were.
Yeah, I think I think it sends a very large message that this continued resolution bill was just struck down, and Trump and his appointees influenced the GOP enough where the old school changing of the guard that didn't take place because obviously Cornyn and Mitch McConnell and Murkowski, they're going to go ahead and put in the uniparty as hard as they can and hold on to it for as long as they can. These Bush conservatives, and they just lost it. And I think what's great is the protection that Donald Trump has from the American public is that runway is quite long. He's got a good 6 months that he can pretty much do whatever the hell he wants, and public opinion's not going to sour right away. Now, if he is getting results, that is. Now, if he does things like Biden did, Biden had that carte blanche to kind of do whatever he wanted. He immediately started screwing things up. So I'm excited to see what happens. I don't want to fund any more to spending bills. It's omnibus pork barrel politics. And we are $36 trillion in debt. And Damani, we're $14 trillion away from over the cliff. And you hear things all the time. Our democracy's in jeopardy. Or the United States, this will be our last free and fair election. All that shit's fear-mongering. But if we hit 50 trillion, that's it. We won't have enough revenue to keep up with interest and actually make a dent in that. In the recovery standpoint, it would be like a credit card. Somebody who's making, $75,000 a year having a $50,000 credit card. You're just not going to go ahead and be able to survive. So are you okay with a little bit of chaos before Trump gets in? Are you okay with us standing pat and saying, you know what, we're not going to pass this CR. We're not going to go ahead and fund the government. We're going to wait till Donald Trump takes over in the 20th. Do you think that's the right move and what America wants?
I don't think we need to fund the government right now, to be honest with you. They've shown themselves to be untrustworthy, grossly fiscally irresponsible. So why would we write another blank check to these individuals who have been sucking the American taxpayer dry now for almost 4 straight years? Why would we? If you don't have a chance to even read these, these CRs or these bills or what have you, if they are going to drop 1,500 pages on your desk and say, hey, we're going to vote on this in 8 hours, like, you better vote yes, then of course, the answer should be no. I posted that on my X account most recently. If you don't have time to read through a document, not just read through it, but understand it, because you know how much legalese is baked into these documents. You know how much pork and how much other subterfuge is added to these bills under the auspices of, oh, this is to fund the government. Well, if the government, guess what? If the government is giving, hamsters cocaine or whatnot and watching them fight each other on my dime, then maybe we shouldn't be funding that. Think about these kinds of things before you decide we're going to just loot the American taxpayer again. So I say in the here and now, let's just not give the government any more money. They have always mismanaged this money. And let's wait for a real businessman to be back in the Oval Office so we can start actually tracking and seeing where this money is going. And also, in conjunction with that, if you have Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk heading up the Department of Government Efficiency, then I would argue you are going to see so much more transparency than we ever have seen before, that the average American, when they see how your money really is being spent, they should actually start to sound the alarm a lot more vigorously than they have in the past because of that added level of transparency. So I say wait for Trump to get back in. Let's start to dig ourselves out of this crazy mess that we shouldn't have been in the first place.
There's the bill you're referring to, 1,500 pages. Very much
fun. Some extra bathroom reading.
Yeah, it looks like the notes you leave me in the morning on how to prep dinner. So it's 1,500 pages. It's ridiculous, and they have 72 hours to read it. 72 hours. And the funny thing is that when you drop this during the holiday hours, and you drop this on a Sunday night, most of these guys, not everyone comes back to Washington on a Monday at the same time. Some people have longer flights, whatever. So you're eating into that time. And then you're talking about people who are going to be trying to get out of Washington. Do you really think that these people are going to take the time, read this, understand what's in it before passing it? And you're right. There's only so many... we can't put shrimp. What is it? Shrimp on treadmills or some shit that they're doing? What was the thing that they were testing? Do you remember what it was? Some stupid.
I do not know.
They're seriously. I'll look it up. But there was some ridiculous amount of funding. We know, like Pete Buttigieg in Washington and Oregon wanted to reroute salmon farms around freeways. And then instead of just going ahead and trying to reroute the river, they wanted to tear down the freeways and reroute it around the river. And you're like, what are we talking about here? There's only so much money that we can spend on this erroneous type stuff, like artificial insemination of chickens and shit like that. Who cares? What we need to focus on is securing our border. That's the mandate. That's the number one thing. Getting our economy back on track. the sad thing is they just went ahead and they dropped the interest rate 0.5%, and inflation is actually going up. This is just going to stimulate more inflation. By the false interest rate increase, all that did was just stop the inflation and make it go stagnant. It didn't cure the problem. So Donald Trump's going to have to get in here, figure out how he's going to handle the Fed, how they're going to go ahead and go through every single line to trim out the fat. It's going to be an interesting challenge. So I'm excited for it. Here's a video of...
Thank you, Jane, very much.
Yes, Jane and...
Bobby.
Bobby and who else? I missed it. But thank everybody who just donated. We really appreciate you. This is from 2021. This is
Christina.
This is my third favorite video of Damani. First one is Christmas List, and I'm not going to play it right now. Damn it, I can't get his video up. Hold on a second. You guys... Unfortunately, because we didn't do pre-check and because somebody slept through the appointment, which is totally fine. We knew that. I'm not trying to stick you on that. We did not have a chance to get his screens up, so I'm going to have to do that before we show. This is funny that you mentioned leftists because this is liberal logic in 2021. I was going to actually play this before he came on, and now we get to show everybody. Here's a sample of Damani and what he brings on at DamaniFelder.com.
Hi, I'm a leftist, and this message is for all the conservatives out there. I don't understand why you all don't want to come together and unify with me and my people. When I said I wanted to unify, I meant it. That's why I go out of my way to blame you for everything now. I don't want you to hate us. That's why I attack you and call you hateful names all the time for exercising your First Amendment rights. I know I live here in America, but I hate this country. I grew up here and haven't been anywhere else, so obviously my hatred of America is well-researched and justified. All I want you to do is hate it too. Seeing you wave your American flags fills me with indescribable anger, because I love China most of all, and I just want everyone to be good little communists like they are. In communist countries, the people aren't allowed to have guns, because guns in the hands of people who love freedom is a dangerous thing. People with guns...
Just a little interruption. I was right. I nailed it. It's shrimp treadmill study paid for with taxpayer money. There is a research, $559,681. Shrimp treadmill research cost taxpayers more than $3 million over the course of a decade.
What?
I'm going to read it after this, but first listen, Damani's doing too good of a job ripping these people apart 3 years ago, so we're going to let him do that, and then I'm going to tell you about the study.
Guns can fight back against tyranny and be free, and I don't like that. So I just want to make sure guns aren't allowed to be in the hands of dangerous people. What's a dangerous person, you ask? Well, I change that definition to suit my purposes whenever I feel like it. But today I've decided that dangerous person is you. Because you think too much. Thinking is hard. Why can't you just do what your TV tells you to do? Like me. Sure, I'm drowning in student loan debt from a useless liberal arts degree that no one cares about. But trust me, I know what's best for you, and I know what's best for the country. I likely wasn't even born when 9/11 happened, so I really don't actually know anything about terrorists. And since I don't know anything about terrorists, of course I just use that word to describe anyone who disagrees with my warped ideology. To me, terrorism is just as bad as racism, and I hate racism. How much do I hate racism, you ask? So much so that I take pride in calling black conservatives Uncle Toms. It makes me feel good to keep black people in their place and tell them to do exactly what I want them to do. To me, that's what Martin Luther King Jr. would want. And I like to think he'd be proud of me for doing exactly the opposite of what he fought and died to achieve. Speaking of what I also like quoting the Bible. I don't believe in it, but I like to quote verses out of context to try to own you. I know it never works because I don't have the foggiest idea of how to interpret it, but I'll still do it at a moment's notice, especially when it comes to immigrants. I love immigrants so much, I don't even care if they don't get tested for diseases before coming into the country illegally. Of course, I expect you to get tested all the time, though.
And if you don't understand the subtle genius of nuance, behind Damani are file cabinets with all the states, and above it is an index of emergency ballots.
I can't see it, but that's funny.
That's okay.
I
That's
forgot
all right.
I did that.
It's so good. And then there's miscellaneous. So under Florida, it's just so completely not in alphabetical order. I'm a little disappointed by that, but otherwise it's pretty good. All right, here we go. Here we go.
The life of me, I don't understand why you would have a problem with that. I'm an ugly person inside and out. So while I can't cover my rotten core, covering most of my face is the next best thing, and that makes me really happy. So happy that I just keep doing it even after I'm told I don't have to anymore. Seeing your beautiful smiling faces is very triggering to me. So now my whole personality is just trying to get you to do nonsensical, ineffective things just like me. And even if I can't convince you to do what I do just yet, at least I can force your kids to do it when they're at school all day. I know many of my leaders hold private maskless parties for themselves, but I choose to ignore that because in my eyes, they're better than you. So that makes it okay. And even though they still expect me to comply with their demands regardless of what they do themselves, of course I'm happy to oblige. Because I love being dominated and humiliated by them. It's like my initiation into their organization, an initiation that never ends. Since I'm an inherently weak person, I usually prefer to harass everyday people who won't comply when I'm surrounded by a group of my peers. This way, I can drown out my personal self-loathing and be protected against retaliation. Because I know one-on-one, I'd get smashed into the pavement at the drop of a hat. I don't want to get injured because it's my body and my choice. I really like that saying. Want to know why? Because it only applies when I want it to. So when you use my own logic against me and do so to exercise your freedom of choice, I naturally become enraged. Because that's how normal people act. I'm so normal, I support AOC when she wears dresses that say tax the rich, and then go out of my way to support her by buying her overpriced tax the rich merchandise on her website.
$67.99.
Now I want you to listen to me very closely. I'm not going to stop. Not until you actually do something about it. I'm not scared of consequences because my leaders will protect me and bail me out of jail if I misbehave. And a lot of your elected officials never actually bring me to justice. They tweet mean things, but rarely follow through with action, so I'm emboldened by the lack of accountability I continue to enjoy. So until I'm held accountable, at which point I will wilt like a burned spider, I'm going to continue being a lawless miscreant. And I expect you to cater to me and my fragile little feelings without objection every waking moment. Because if I'm not happy, no one is allowed to be happy. And I don't understand why you won't unify and come together with me and adopt my thought process as your own. But I'll keep trying anyway. And the best way for me to do that is for me to continue to do everything in my power to break your spirit. Because that's what unifying and coming together is all about. Thank you for listening. And now if you'll excuse me, I need to go find something to be offended by for no apparent reason whatsoever. Right after I circle back for another booster.
It's,
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
I think you need to work on sarcasm. I think there's some shortcomings you have when it comes
Oh
to
my
sarcasm.
gosh, that is so funny.
Damani,
Well,
I
I'm
wanna show
working
the
on them now.
Yeah, I want to real quick. I want to show the shrimp on the Barbie thing, and then our shrimp on a treadmill, and then I want you to respond to your video because it's fantastic. Here it is, folks. This isn't a joke. Listen. I don't do fake news on this show. Everyone knows that. I wouldn't do it. Here it is. Oh, I can't play that. This is a video of the test, though. I'm not.
Can you mute it?
Yeah, I'm gonna mute it.
Oh my God.
Why? What? Okay.
I'm gonna explain it. Well, if I can. All right.
So confused.
So the shrimp treadmill study, you guys can watch this video while I play this. The shrimp treadmill study, National Science Foundation was targeting an example of pork barrel politics. The overall mission of I don't even know where the hell they got this. You can look this up yourself and read it, but it doesn't matter. Here's the study. This is from biologist Lou Burnett was on his car and a cell phone rang. It was a CNN reporter asking about the fact that his research had been featured in a new report about wasteful government spending. The scientist was irritated. It takes the case of shrimp on a treadmill, says the senator's report linked that the work to $500,000 research giants was wasteful, but the money actually went to a lot of different research that he and his colleagues did on this economically important seafood species. The treadmills were just a small part of it, a way to measure how shrimp respond to changes in water quality. Burnett says the first treadmill was built by colleagues from scraps and was basically free, and the second was fancier and it cost about $15,000. The senator's report was misleading, saying Burnett, it suggests that much money was spent on seeing how long a shrimp can run on a treadmill, which was totally out of context. Yeah, I don't think it was. And if you're putting a shrimp on treadmill, I don't have any faith in anything else you're doing.
That means you're really, 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 really bored.
You're stupid.
Yeah.
You
the
probably
point?
think that drones are flying all over. Damani, tell me
What
what
was
you
funny? What
think.
was funny, Matt?
Yeah.
I want to say real quick. What was funny is, you for a minute there you paused trying to recall exactly what the study was, and I thought that in itself was a beautiful moment because at this point you can honestly just say whatever pops into your mind and say,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'll bet they're giving chimpanzees steroids and cocaine," and if you look it up, you're probably going to be right. I think that's
Yeah.
hilarious.
It's well, I remember. I have a pretty decent memory, so I remember reading this back in when your video was. So that's why I brought it up with the continuing resolution. But I didn't know I was actually right until I Googled it and was like, "Holy shit, I was." That's pretty. You're right.
Yep.
It's pretty sad. 2021. You created this video, like most of your videos. Your long form stuff is tremendous. What type of reaction did you receive from that? How much hate mail? Did you get a cross on your lawn? What happened when you did this?
Well, it's funny. Actually, that's probably the first time I've watched that video back since I released it almost 3 years ago. I have a bad habit of just releasing videos, and when I'm editing, they get almost old to me, so I stop even listening to it. I'm just like trying to put the fancy stuff in the background or whatnot. So just listening to all that, though, it was odd how prophetic a lot of what I said actually is, because that's still how they act.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, all too often. As far as the hate mail is concerned, of course, I post my videos on multiple platforms. So at this point, I've tuned out the noise to such a degree that it rarely even registers with me anymore. But I'm sure there was someone out there who said, "Oh, that's not how all leftists are. Like, why are you generalizing us and putting us in a box, Uncle Tom?"
Right.
That's probably the
Right.
feedback that I would have received from it, which is par for the course at this point. And I haven't made a lot of those satirical videos in a while because they take so much effort.
Oh,
And
it's
the
a ton of work.
sarcasm that I have, it's something that sometimes comes and goes, and I have little spurts of it. I'm working on the Christmas wish list video, my 5th annual video. I'll be releasing in the next week.
Oh,
So
yay.
those are the ones that I really put a lot of subtlety and nuance and sarcasm into. But that in itself, that was a period of time. I remember 2021. I feel like it was when a lot of it was really sinking into a lot of people on the right that we are going to have to go through this journey for the next 4 years, and it is going to be uncomfortable. So how do I deal with that? Boiling rage. You just have to become almost as sarcastic as possible and hope that even some of that sarcasm seeps through. So there's going to be more of those videos coming in the future, I'm sure, but I'm looking forward to producing that because I didn't see what came through there.
You keep talking. I'm just going to show it to you.
I'm not laughing at you, Devani.
Seriously? No,
Laughing at
no.
you.
Wow.
This was the
Yep.
Fauci. This was the Fauci thing that he did. It's
That's
my gosh.
that's right. Wait, no.
yeah.
I thought the Fauci
Yeah.
one was something different where he was locking beagles' heads in some device so flies
Yeah.
could eat their face or something like that.
Yeah, but
Oh,
the
my God.
uncovering of that came in the NIH probe that they did by looking into that, and I guess more. I'll look that up too. I mean, the next thing they're
And
going to
PETA
find
didn't
out
say anything about it?
is
My goodness.
well, PETA kills more animals than anybody. Their kill ratio is like 89%. PETA is a freaking crock. They are horrible. There's not many things that I agree with. I can't remember the comedian's name. He's a redhead guy. He does a lot of PETA stuff. We disagree. He's complete liblab. But
The one with the long hair?
no, short. He's the guy that always has conflict at his shows, and he puts it up there. Steve Hofstetter.
Okay.
And he, I don't disagree. I disagree with everything he says, except for he made 2 videos that were just freaking beautiful. Just went after PETA and destroyed them. Just embarrassed them. It was brutal. But anyway, I think you're right. We should play a drinking game of just think of the most obnoxious shit you can, do a search, and at some point we have found funding for it. I don't mean to switch gears so quickly, but we have a drone update. There is, for the first time, video, and it wasn't Olivia's video, which we'll show Damani so we can get a reaction from him. The drones are now dropping messages, and people are saying they actually have video proof and evidence of it. No longer are the drones not communicating with people. They are now communicating, and they have something to say. Here is the video that was just released. Hopefully you enjoy this. So it looks like some sort of line is being extended, almost like a tendril, a fishing line or something, that drops down. Oh, looks like there's some sort of note attached to it. It's kind of analog, don't you think? Having a written note, but let's see what it says.
What is it? I don't know. Let's see. Some kind of message.
So
I should have known that was coming.
We finally figured
That's
out
great.
about the drones. Listen, Damani, you and I agree on most things. I don't know where you stand with these drones. Former military and understanding aircraft identification very well, considering I've been through the classes and imagery analysis and all that type of stuff. I have a sneaking suspicion that this is obviously government. The FAA mandates that they've put out in New Jersey and all across the country, locking down bases. We understand that there were foreign nationals in country flying drones, but I think this thing's been blown out of proportion. I've seen about 250 different videos, and all of them are just civilian aircraft or military aircraft. But what is your thought on the drone thing, and have you decided to dive into it at all?
And not beyond a surface level perfunctory glance at it. There's so many things the military is involved in that would blow the mind of the average everyday lay person. Nothing surprises me as far as what the military will do or what even they are doing right now. But what does surprise me is the apparent proclivity for so many people who are honestly just sitting at home doing nothing to just rapidly consume this content, and they begin freaking out and claiming this is the end of the world or this and that. And maybe the end of the world is close because of so many people who aren't willing to pay attention. But the way I look at it is whenever that becomes the main story, there's another story that you are being distracted by. So it's been proven time and time again that the government is involved in all sorts of secret things that you might find out about maybe 50 years from now when things are declassified down the road. But I think that people want to feel alive in a lot of cases. And sometimes the only way for them to feel alive is to latch on to the latest bright, shiny object. But when you do that, what is it that you are allowing yourself to be led away from? There's always something deeper than what is going on. And some of the videos I've made about these events is really that the government is hoping that you will panic. And if you do panic and then think, oh my gosh, extraterrestrials are falling from the sky, then, oh, please, daddy government, please save me. I'll do anything. I'll wear a mask alone in my car for 10 straight years this time. And that's where it would go. Right. Whenever the government claims that they're going to save you, it's usually from something that the government created themselves. Point one would being the virus. And now we have another chance for people to do this. That's why I always say all the time, all of the virus stuff, that was just a litmus test or a compliance test to see if we do something crazy, who is still going to turn to us to save them? Because the government's more than happy to save you from what they created, but it's going to come at the price of your freedoms. And that's not an exchange I'm willing to make, and no one else should be willing to make as well.
Livia made a video that's got quite a few interactions. I think it's well over 100,000 views, and there's over 1,000 comments. People are
a bit shocked about the reactions to this video.
Oh, dude, like Damani, it's going viral.
It's got more reactions than my my leftist lib lab reaction to the election videos.
Yeah. Really? Well, people are.
I don't know if Damani saw that video either.
I'm going to show it to him. People are calling her names, and so you're dumb as dog shit. Yep. And then other people are like, oh my god, did she survive? What's going on? Is she okay? And did the drones attack her? And oh my god, did you see how close that one drone got? And then other people are like, oh my god, those are buzzards, and you buried your dead husband there. And I react, I'm like, hey fucker, I'm like, I'm right here, dude. So here's the video. I thought it was kind of funny, and I think you'll try to find it. It's funny too. She did a good job. Here it is.
Oh my gosh, there are drones everywhere. They're everywhere. I don't know what to do. They're flying all around us. There's another one up there. Look, it's flying up there. They're going in every single direction. I don't know what we're going to do. Oh no, one just flew really close to my head too. Oh, this is so scary. I don't know what to do anymore.
You did such a good job of sounding like an airhead. One
Thanks.
person came on and
I
said,
try hard.
you know, this, if you're going to make a funny video, take your child out. You probably scared the living shit out of them and scarred them forever.
That is peak trolling right there. Well done. I tip my hat to you. That is hilarious. So well done.
You.
There's people
Appreciate
who are
it.
very upset. There's people who are taking it seriously. There are people who are like, oh my God, they're disguising the drones like birds. And we're like, no, people. You've been doing this a long time.
Wow.
You've been doing. I think I'm not kidding. Go read the thread. You will
It's
literally give
hilarious.
up on humanity.
Yeah, this show is bringing out my creative sarcasm. Like, I was
love
always
it.
sarcastic,
This video's
but not
on
this
X?
creative.
It's on Facebook and it's at 68,000 views.
Oh.
I think it's been you know how they have views and then they have overall interaction. I think it's like 150,000 interactions. What?
Nice.
How do you stay? You've been doing this longer than me. How do you stay engaged and remain faithful to your viewers? Because I know this isn't all viewers, but you do bring in new people and you get to see, like, okay, I try to be nice. Like, I'm like, some people yell at them, you're stupid. Well, how could you ask something? I'm like, hey, calm down. This is just somebody who has thank you very much, Amy, who has a reaction to this. It's no big deal. You know, and some people are rude and then I'm kind of rude back. But how do you have faith in the electorate? How do you have faith in the people that you talk to all the time and ensure that you're reaching the right audience? And Amy, thank you very much for the donation. Just want to pick your brain on that since you've been doing this a while.
That's actually a really good question. You know, I'm not afraid to step away from what I do every so often because it gets so taxing and so overwhelming. And I start to realize that I prefer not to have as many gray hairs as I found over these last 10 years or so. So I try to manage my exposure to all that while also trying to stay engaged with people that I know over a period of time are trustworthy, good, God-fearing patriots themselves. As it relates to this hysteria, though, how is it that I put this the other day? Fear is the currency of the uninformed. And that's something that I just kind of made up on a whim, but I think it makes a lot of sense when you realize that a lot of people who don't know any better are going to latch on to anything, and then they're going to turn to those who are questioning what the official narrative is and pretend that those people are the enemy when we are the ones who actually, time and time again, have been proven right. So as it relates to my interactions with people on my social media, I'll step away from it at times. Sometimes I'll log on, read a few comments and jump off. And that's just something that I have to do for my own sanity and clarity. But it's wild to see how easily misled some people are, or how averse to realization they've become for a litany of reasons. And if you have someone that you can't reason with, you know, I'm sometimes like you, Matt. Sometimes I'll just like log in, I'll take a few pot shots, you know, make a sarcastic remark and move on. Other times I'm just like, I can't do it today.
It's so hard. It's so hard, dude. I become more cynical, you know, and you say adverse, but you know, some people who are drowning in the desert are adverse to water, right? So you're just like, dude, can you just possibly admit that you have, as far as the avian species, you don't know everything about birds? Because some people are saying that they're vultures. Some people are like, those are hawks. Some people are saying those are eagles. Some people are saying, you know, that they're crows. Okay, well, if you can't figure out that's a bird, number one, and then what type of bird it is, then what makes you an expert on knowing if something is a civilian aircraft or a drone? And second, why are they using FAA-authorized running lights if they're UFOs or a foreign government? There's just some basic things that people don't understand. And sometimes you just have to pop smoke and just say, you know what? I'll move on to another subject because I'm not going to reach you, and I don't think there's anything I can do unless it has a baseball bat and some serious anesthetic. I'm not gonna get through to you.
Well said, brother. Well said.
Jeez. Here's a video, real quick. Quick segment break, and 15 seconds. We'll be right back. Fox News wants to talk about Trende de Aragua, whatever. They're a big gang, TDA.
The Dumb Store is veteran-owned with a 5-star diamond rating for service and satisfaction. We offer quality products like coffee, shirts, hoodies, and hats, all made by veterans. Shop with confidence, backed by hundreds of 5-star reviews. Use code DUMB10 to save 10%. Visit thedumbshow.com today. Thank you for your support.
If he sounds familiar, he's the guy who did Ted Cruz's commercials, and he's done
Well,
a couple.
it was clear that
of Ford commercials. Got him to do some voiceovers. It was really nice. Liked the show, and it said, "Hey, if you need some voiceover work," I'm like, "Yeah, do some ads." So he did them. So it's kind of nice. Judge Jeanine on the 5, Tren de Aragua, which stands for really upset people who do really mean and bad things, I think is the translation. They are bangers. We lived in Colorado. We were in Saudi Aurora for a brief time. We were there for the Batman shooting. We were there for, we were up north in Wyoming, but very, very close in visiting Colorado for the Columbine shooting. We saw Saudi Aurora, which was Aurora, turn into Saudi Aurora, which was gangland, and used to be a beautiful up-and-coming eastern Colorado, southeastern Colorado town, and is now really just doing what the entire state of Colorado has done, which is turned to violence. Now, you might say that legalizing marijuana had something to do with this. I will tell you what it certainly did. It allowed a lot of companies that don't care about Colorado to come in and buy a shit ton of real estate and drive the prices up. And what you have is Californians who have come into Colorado and monopolized the state and destroyed my beautiful Colorado, which we love so much. Here's the video. I want to get your guys' reaction. Olivia, you'll go first after the video, and then Damani will follow up.
Okay.
This is quite disturbing. If you don't like graphic content, even though there are no pictures, they will describe some things that are fairly graphic here.
Well, it was clear that they were telling us not to believe our lying eyes as we see these gangs come in with all kinds of, equipment and crowbars or whatever they're using to break open these apartment buildings. And at the same time, we were talking to people living in the apartment buildings. So they didn't want to make it look like there was a problem, but whatever their motivation was, it was a lie. Now we know that Tren de Aragua has organizations in every major city in the United States. And this was really emphasized, I think it was in October when Martha Raddatz said to J.D. Vance at the debate when he started talking about the Venezuelan gangs, TDA, taking over apartment complexes. And she like chides him and she says, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know the facts here. And it's limited to a handful of apartment complexes.
Damani, add that to your response, this question. Damani, do you think that Donald J. Trump will win against MSLSD? I think she means MSNBC. And Stephanopoulos will reach the brainwashed Dems, the $15 million lawsuit that he won. Do you think it's actually going to make a dent? Hold on to that, and we'll answer that after we watch the rest of this.
So that's okay. Look, we've got some issues here.
And that's where he said his famous line of,
yes.
Do you hear yourself?
Do you hear yourself? Exactly. Since 2022, they have spent $350 million on illegals in Colorado. $350 million. And the victims now are more afraid of the migrants than they are of the police. So at least now they're reporting these cases to the police. But we've got to understand that there is a cultural distinction. They come here, many of them, from countries where cartels run things, and their values are different than ours. And
Rick, I used to work on 104th and Sheridan and 82nd or 82nd and Sheridan. I used to run the Game Crazy there in the Circuit City up in Arvada. So 104th is more close to Thornton. But anyway, we were in Wheat Ridge, Arvada. We were down in Littleton. And where else were we, Livy?
Lakewood.
In Lakewood. So, yeah.
Golden,
Conifer. I was in Evergreen for a little bit of time. But anyway, yeah, we're long time Coloradoans.
They think that they can come here and exercise the same kind of behavior. And America is complicit, especially the left, in sanctuary cities. Because in these sanctuary cities, they're saying, come to our city. We're not going to agree with ICE or deportation. And so what's going to happen is every sanctuary city is going to be loaded with those criminal illegals who do not want to be deported. That's where hell is going to start burning. All right. Now, two things that I think are important. In every matter, in every state where there is a crime committed by an illegal, there should be an enhanced punishment. One step up because you shouldn't be here in the first place. That's number one. And I don't give a darn if you came in on the CBP app. That's not legal as far as I'm concerned.
So the reason why this is such an uproar is because Tren de Aragua went into an apartment complex and tortured, I believe it was 2 people, female and a male, if I'm not mistaken, threatened them for over 13 hours, tortured them, pulled their fingernails off, burned them, used pliers, just horrible medieval shit. Marcellus Wallace called and said, dude, you guys need to be a little nicer. Little Pulp Fiction reference, folks.
I got that one.
Thank you, Olivia. Thank you.
I know it.
Holy crap. So anyway, it's scary. And the thing is that you saw this laissez-faire attitude with, oh, well, it's only a couple apartment buildings. Yeah, but in those apartment buildings, you have 450, tenants who are being impacted. Is 1, 2, 10, 100? We kill a CEO. Nobody. I mean, come on. Have we gotten to the point now where, if this ever happened in the United States 20 years ago, you would have full SWAT, you would have National Guard, they would take these people out. Now, there just seems to be this complacency. So I want to get your thoughts, Liv. We've lived in the city. We've lived in the high crime areas. We've lived in Houston. We've lived in Arizona. We've lived in Denver. We've lived in Bakersfield, the #1 frickin' murder capital in the United States when it comes to unsolved crime. What are your thoughts on this, and how do you feel about this? And I want to get your thoughts. Go ahead.
It's sad. There's a reason that we always researched every city we went to and lived usually in the Northwest or the west side of town, which was always the safest. We always were willing to pay more to live in a safer part of the town and work in the safer part of the town. It's really sad. And I loved Colorado, and now I don't want to go back to Colorado. And it's sad that this is happening. And it's the fact that it's being allowed to continue is horrible. There should never have been one murder, rape, torture, anything by any illegal alien in this country. But it's the fact that one happened and then they allowed them to keep coming in, and more are coming in and more is happening. And I think the people stood up on election day and said enough is enough. I think more people are sick of the open borders and all this happening, and that they spoke for it and they don't want it anymore. And I think a lot's going to change on January 20th. And I really hope that illegals are watching this and going, oh shit, we better go. Because I hope they just all leave. They all need to go, in my opinion.
Would it be like muy caca?
Yeah, I don't know.
Would they say, oh shit?
I don't know what holy is.
What's shit?
A caca, I think.
Is it caca?
I think so.
Oh, Holio shit.
I don't know
Holio crapola.
Muy is very shit.
Muy very shito. This is muy craptastico. Do you really think that America is going to have the stones and the gut and the intestinal fortitude to watch kids screaming for their mothers, X-Men style Magneto in the concentration camp as his mother's hauled off on the train car and he pulls the fence and it ripples towards him and bends and just is this, just torn up mess? Do you think people are really going to be okay with that, Liv, when they start seeing that? Or do you think America's kind of like, screw this?
I think they're desensitized to it.
Yeah.
They've turned a blind eye to little girls being raped, murdered, and tortured.
Good point.
If they actually have an uprising because illegal alien children are being sent away from the country or being ripped apart from their parents because the parents are being deported and the kids are not, I won't say it, Damani, because you're on the show, but F them. I mean, if that's the fact,
wait a second.
I respect
Hold on.
you.
Thank you so much for not saying fuck in front of Damani. I'm sure he
my
really
virgin ears.
I'm sorry. But I mean, it's the fact, anyone who stands up and complains about those kids, they don't deserve to be here. Because they didn't stand up and complain about the actual American citizens who are being killed and raped and tortured. And they didn't care. And they made excuses, and they didn't call them illegal aliens. They called them undocumented migrants, asylum seekers. And they made every excuse in the book for them. And they had absolutely no sympathy and no empathy towards the people who were murdered, towards those families. And they almost kind of acted like it was the family's fault. And I remember the little girl, I don't remember, Jasmine or whatever, it was a 13-year-old that at the gas station, the two of them, that there was the two that raped her. Yasmin, I think was her name.
Yeah, I'll find the name, but you're right.
They blamed the mom. Did you hear some of the reactions? Why did you let your daughter go out that late at night? And they blamed her. It's just, how dare them? And honestly, they can go with them back to the other countries and leave ours, because you're not doing anything good for this country and you're bringing it down. So you don't need to be here.
Jocelyn and Gary is
Jocelyn. Okay.
And honestly, I mean, it is a good question. Why is your daughter out that? I mean, it's still a question. You can do both, right? They're not mutually exclusive. You can sit here and say that these people should absolutely just be eradicated from this planet who did that. And every single family member should be able to have blowtorch, pliers, baseball bat, rats in a bag, lemon juice, paper cuts, whatever they want to exact their revenge. But the question also has to be that parenting needs to be a number one focus in these dangerous times. Damani, what are we missing here? What are your thoughts on this whole process? You're in Texas. This is a big deal.
I'm in agreement with you. I'm in such agreement with you, because for every heart-wrenching story that CNN or MSLSD, as it was called, runs about, oh, this family's being ripped apart. Oh my gosh. I saw a funny meme actually on X earlier today, and it was a stock image of a family, and it said, families that get deported together stay together. So, you know, if you want to like try to pull on my heartstrings, it's not going to work, because we don't get that same pulling of heartstrings when you have stories like Jocelyn on Gray, which is right here in Houston, Texas. It's close to where I live. And you hear all these stories. Oh, there was a drunk driving illegal immigrant hits a car and kills a 7-year-old girl. I saw a news story like that a couple days ago, actually. And what's unfortunate is, like Olivia said, we have become desensitized to a large degree. And there's people who will make excuses for these illegals, up to and including Laken Riley's killer. Yeah. What's crazy is I saw a news report most recently that, oh, he's asking for a different trial because he doesn't think that something was, I'm sorry, you are an illegal immigrant in this country. And the way I see it is, if you're an illegal immigrant in this country, you don't have the same rights that are afforded to American citizens. So I'm sorry. Oh, you didn't get a fair trial. Tough luck. Well, that's your fault for coming here in the first place. Of course, we all know he did. But I digress. Right. But it's so infuriating seeing people who come into this country waving the flag of the country that they ostensibly fled from, and they want to avail themselves to all the accoutrements that come with being an American, and then they bring the very worst parts of their culture here. I don't have any excuses to make for them. I don't have any apologies to give to them. They need to leave post haste as expeditiously as possible, and let us actually try to heal our country so that we can actually feel safe in our own countries again. You know, and I feel more particularly fiery about this topic now because, you know, we have a baby girl of our own. She's 1 year old. She's starting to walk around. One day she's going to be old enough to go out to the park. I don't want to become the latest news story where some neck beard, mouth breathing leftist in a basement somewhere is going to call into question my parenting because their policies were the ones that allowed somebody to come to the country, had no business being here in the first place. So that's why that fire has to stay burning bright, because for me now, it's gotten a lot more real in this last year when you have someone yourself who depends on you. And one of our number one priorities as parents is to keep our children safe. And we want to do that desperately. But if we're allowing illegal immigrants to come to this country who have no business being here and who will commit those heinous atrocities, then I'm sorry, but they all have to go, especially the ones who are criminals. And I believe strongly in the way that has been proposed this should take place. Get the known violent criminals out of here first. And then if you want to get into the minutia about, oh, should this case or this case be applied? Okay, maybe we can have a conversation about that. But the violent ones, we know who they are. They need to go immediately.
Yeah. Listen, kids are separated from their parents every single day. And parents get arrested. Mom's got 8 ball of cocaine or crack or whatever in her purse, and dad is driving on a suspended license and has 3 felonies, and he's breaking his parole, and they both get clacked, and the kids go into foster care. It's not ideal, but it's better than 350,000 kids having no idea where they are because they've been given to some sort. The only qualification is that they're an adult. It doesn't really take into account the 67 million who've been aborted since 1959. So it's not that we can't focus on a multitude of things, and that's usually the left argument, right? Is let's go ahead and do whataboutism, and I'm not doing that. But what I'm saying is that if you start off with, 10,000, and you're ignoring 67 million or 350,000, maybe your expectations need to be a little loftier. If we could just eliminate abortions at the level of stop using it as birth control and life of mother or incest or rape, we all understand that. Okay, great. That's 2% of overall abortions. Let's talk about the other 98% that's used at a convenience. If we just stop those or put some limitations on it or made it 16 weeks or whatever we can agree upon, we could have monumental impact on a multitude of generations of people. And how many Michael Jordans did we lose? How many Elon Musks have we lost? How many, Eddie Van Halens? So I think there's something that we need to understand is that all of these things are multiplicative to what's happening to the United States right now. And they all have a resounding effect if they are unchecked. And that is probably the biggest travesty of the Biden administration, is that it is compounding because nothing is being focused on. It doesn't matter whether it's a balloon going across. It doesn't matter with addressing these drones and actually giving people the right answer, which is we're testing drones right now because we're getting our ass kicked with 3 major superpowers. So we're testing the shit out of them. We've put up FAA zones around here. And what you're seeing is a rediversion in traffic in zones of people in suburban areas that usually don't see flights traffic. And they're all wondering what the hell it is. There's a way to address these things. There's a way to address fentanyl. There's a way to address why we're giving money to Ukraine or why we're giving money to Israel. But we've just been left with this. You're going to deal with this. We're going to do it. We don't need your permission, and just live with it. I think that's probably the biggest thing, Damani, with Trump, is that we need transparency. And his hour-long interview that he did the other day really gives me hope, because there is no question that this guy will not attempt to answer. You got to look at what he has done in the last, 2 months is more than Joe Biden has done as far as interviews for the last 4 years. So I think that level of transparency is important. Did you want to tackle the question about the $15 million lawsuit against MSNBC and how they had to give Trump the $15 million for calling him a rapist?
That just set a precedent for other legacy media outlets who have done much the same. I don't think it's going to change the minds of probably the people who watch those news channels most religiously, but I do think it should have set a precedent. Honestly, I strongly believe that there should be a precedent set for anyone who has ever even, had to contend with the unjustness of even social media algorithms, which are biased to the core. At some point, the dam has to break. At some point, there has to be restitution given. There has to be an admission of wrongs, and there has to be a clear plan of revision moving forward. I think that the $15 million settlement is a good place to start. The beautiful thing about it, though, is that Trump doesn't need the money. But the sad thing about it is I know there's so many other good people out there who, for one reason or another, have fallen prey to the mainstream media-esque attacks, and they've lost everything as a result. Of course, we're so grateful that we're surrounded by so many people, even the viewers of this show included, who are willing to actually step up and help their fellow American when they are down. And I'm so grateful to those of you out there if you are one of that number. But there's people who still need to have some sort of restorative justice assigned to them. And I'm hopeful that this is just the beginning of a very long list of grievances being rectified the only way that we can rectify them moving forward.
Yeah, I can't wait for that lawsuit to come around for Facebook to go ahead and pay me back pay for $150,000 a year that they took away from us, and we somehow survived. I mean, they undercut us and they took away our monetization. That was we never accepted donations. Very much like you, we sell some clothes. We tried to stay away from that, but unfortunately, it came to a point where if you're going to be on 5 days a week and streaming's expensive, that. I want to try to convince you to do more. I think 1 day a week isn't enough. your presence. I think you have a lot to do with what happened in this election from an African American perspective. Is you helped a lot of people wake up, and I think you don't give yourself enough credit for that, man. I watched your stuff for the 4 years after the Trump election in 2020, and there's a lot of people who know you. There's a lot of people who respect you. There's a lot of people who follow you, and you had a very big impact. So how do you get your voice out there more? And if there's something that I can do to help with that, not that I'm anything special, but if there's anything we can do to get you on a couple more nights a week, let me know, and we'd love to help you.
That would be beautiful. I've had to even ask myself if I want to continue in this vein, because it is just a one-man show over here. It's not anything too crazy elaborate going on over here. It's just I've allocated that time in my calendar once a week where I can kind of take a break from dad duty for a second and get into the Patriot side of things a little bit more so. I've always told myself, oh, maybe I'm just, one more week away from, being discovered or having the platform amplified or whatnot, or monetization to the next level. But at the end of the day, it's not even about all that. It's just, I started this years ago, not to, try to make money so much. It's just to say, hey, this is how I feel. Let's see how the rest of the world thinks. And anything else that's come is just by virtue of God's grace and looking out for me and, my now family as well. But I can't even imagine, how difficult it's been for y'all to have to change course from what you were doing when Facebook took that away. And if there ever is some sort of justice, then y'all are very much deserving of that restitution. Thank y'all so much for even just having me on and, trying to do your part to amplify me. Because, y'all's setup and y'all's network, that's something that maybe one day I'll be able to achieve. But in the here and now, we all have roles to play. And I'm just grateful to be part of a great band of brothers and sisters like yourselves. And it warms my heart whenever I get a chance to actually spend time with you guys. So I'll stop now before you start blushing too much.
I feel the love. I think I was going to have a conversation. I have a meeting in January with Wimkin, who are big supporters of ours, and they help. And I think they would be blessed to have your show on there. And I'll talk to Jason. And hell, man, I'm hoping I can get into a position where you would consider coming on our network, right? And not as a underneath us, but with us, dude. I don't believe that crap. Like the Daily Wire and doing all that stuff and bringing people in and then turning and burning them and then breaking Candace and doing things like that. We don't want that. We just want people who have a voice and who want to express it. And you bring a lot to the show. So we'll have that conversation, and maybe you'll be receptive to it, or maybe you won't. But either way, we'd love to talk about it with you.
It'd be awesome. Thanks for even thinking of me. I appreciate that.
Shit, dude. It's funny is they say never meet your heroes because you'll be disappointed. But to think where we were 4 years ago, and Leroy and I were talking about you and your brother and the Wright brothers, and we're like, oh, dude, they're huge, and people know who they are, and Larry Elder knows who they are, and it's amazing when you get to meet people and they're just like you. Whether Eli Crane or Ryan Weaver or yourself or anyone we've ever interviewed, it's always just they're good people and they're friends and they're putting their pants on just like we are and trying to figure it out. So I appreciate the comments. Quick segment, be right back. And then I got a video that I think you both will want to comment on.
Join Wimkin.com, the social media platform built for free speech and true connection. No censorship, no algorithms controlling your feed, just genuine conversations and a commitment to protecting your rights. Sign up today at Wimkin.com and take back your voice. Tell them Matt and the Dumb Show sent you.
A lot of people are, Damani, we need your voice. Damani, that'd be awesome. Damani, come on more. Damani this, Damani that. So it's obviously there. And
such as the nonprofits that are doing the work.
We'll have that conversation. Pennsylvania. They just don't get it, dude. They just don't. These states, they just don't get it. This is a new grant program to help minority-owned businesses with a startup and expansion. Now, I'm all about helping small businesses, 100%. But when you base the predicate on color, race, color, creed, sexual disposition, overall spirituality or theological beliefs. You're kind of going against the things that you're preaching about DEI. And what you're really saying is it doesn't matter what color you are as long as you're not white. I think I'm not going to be that guy who sits up here and goes, the white man is the most hated, and we've been through our trials and tribulations, and give me a fucking break, okay? Not even remotely. And when we talk about sexism and how men are in commercials and movies, they're dumb now, and the wives are just amazing and smart, and commercials, they treat men as idiots. It doesn't bother me necessarily, but what does is that if you look at feminism or you look at racism, it never was about that a group of people are subjugating over another group of people. What it is that you're upset that you're not doing it and you don't get to do it, because we saw that shift with Obama. We're seeing that shift now where it's like, okay, we got the power, and instead of using it for good, we've got the gauntlet and we're just going to snap you all out of existence. I don't think that's right either. So as a proponent of a person who believes in, of course, that everyone has the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, that it doesn't matter what color, creed, race, religion you are, I think there is a truth to the fact that there's been a changing of the guard, that people in America have pumped the brakes and said, stop. We don't want any more of this shit. We don't want any more. We already went through this in the 60s. We went through it with the 80s. We went through it in the 2000s. We don't want to do it now. And this is the type of policy that I think people are going to repudiate. Watch this.
I'm really excited for not just our membership, but the region and the Commonwealth as a whole. I think that these resources and the new programming and the grant funding is going to really help organizations such as the nonprofits that are doing the work in the trenches, helping these small businesses really thrive. But I'm really excited also the fact that there's going to be some dedicated resources to helping would-be entrepreneurs figure it out. It's a tough lift to figure out what you want to get into and how you can help your community thrive. And so I think that these resources going into these organizations are going to work with these individuals to help them figure it out. It's going to create a ripple effect. That ripple effect is going to help them get started, lift them up, but also it's going to create jobs, much needed jobs in these communities. It's going to help these communities thrive with the disposable income that these jobs are going to create, making sure that everyone in every,
All right. Obviously, we need to figure out how to help the inner cities, get these cities going, get them out from underneath Democrat policies. Small business is a great start, incentivizing businesses to come in. The question is this the way to do it? Damani, what are your thoughts?
I despise any sort of program that gives preferential treatment to someone based on a characteristic about themselves that they cannot change. And part of the reason why is because I know there are so many hardworking people of all backgrounds. There's Caucasian individuals, there's African Americans, there's Hispanics, there's so many, even Asian individuals as well out there who have worked so hard to make something of themselves. And the fact that now we have preferential or race-based programs available just if you check a certain box, what that does is undercuts the efforts of so many individuals who actually were able to be successful without needing some sort of handout. And it's so infuriating now because we've created a culture. And I actually, in a video I think I made back in 2020, I was talking about how programs like these and sentiments like these are honestly breeding what could become the next generation of racially insensitive people or racist people altogether. Because if you're sitting there and you're having to work 2-3 jobs just to make ends meet, and then you find out that your local Jaquarius or whatever was able to get $100,000 from the government just because Jaquarius happens to be black and have more melanin and you don't, then what do you think that's going to make that person feel? It makes them feel like the government doesn't care about them, that their fellow citizen doesn't really care about them as much as the other person. And it's going to cause this resentment to build. And I think you're going to unfortunately see a little bit more of that. And I can't even blame people in many instances who started to espouse that sort of souring towards people of a different demographic. And what's unfortunate is people like myself, I sometimes find myself caught in the crossfire of individuals who are like, oh, well, did you get a little bit of extra help? I'm just like, no, but I understand why they would think that. And that's the poison pill of these DEI initiatives is, oh, let's just give it to anyone if you're a certain race. And then what you unintentionally do is call into question the qualifications of individuals who did not need that extra little bit of assistance, that extra push to get to whatever station in life they aspire to achieve. So that's really what I think it would lead to in the future, which is why I'm strongly against any sort of racially preferential plan to inject funds to one individual at the expense of another. I believe if there are programs, make them available to anyone who has the intrinsic motivation necessary to be successful, and let the chips fall where they may.
If you want to inspire business growth inside the inner city, you need to start with having jobs outside of Jack in the Box, McDonald's, Burger King, and Del Taco. Because that is the one thing you see on every off-ramp. And it doesn't matter whether you go to Compton or Lompoc or Oxnard. I don't care. You can go into Houston. Every single off-ramp is always fast food. And then with a string of track homes that just, unfortunately, there's nothing that can make that neighborhood be successful. Olivia, do you think that this is... Do you think this is what? Do you think it needs to be... Because it's not like there's not Hispanic people. There's not like there's not Asian owners. There's not like there's not white people in the ghetto or in these impoverished neighborhoods. Why would we exclude a group of people and only do it based upon black? Is that a form of racism?
Yes, I think it is. And I don't even understand why race and the color of your skin is even an issue today. We're in the 21st century. Why is this an issue? And why are we still talking about it? We shouldn't be. It shouldn't matter what color your skin is. If you want to be an entrepreneur and start a business and you need a little bit of help getting that business up and running, then you should be able to qualify. It just, the whole DEI thing was supposed to make things inclusive, and it's having the opposite effect, and it's turning people against each other. And it's turning people who... they have the right qualifications, but not the correct color of skin to get the job that they went to school for or that they've been working for their whole life. And then they got pushed out of that because they were born a different race than what that company is requiring to hire.
Right.
I'm all for programs that with incentives for small businesses to open, but until they get the crime element under control in the inner cities, no one's going to go in there because that small business is going to open. And within a matter of a month or so, it's going to be robbed. And then it's going to get robbed again. And then it's going to be out of there. No one wants to have a small business in the inner cities because it's not going to survive. And it's no way to make a living. So they need to take that money, and as opposed to incentivizing small businesses to open, they need to take that money and put it into anti-crime and getting that crime element out of the inner city and making them safer. And then more people will come in. It's just kind of like in Denver. What was it?
5 Points.
5 Points was the worst part of Denver. It was gangs. It was the worst place to be. It was
prostitutes. It's where I picked you up on that corner. Remember?
It was horrible. I lived in fear every night I went to work.
Yeah, but I gave you a 20.
I know, that's
and you
true.
were used to your 10s. And
I was. The Johns weren't that great to me back then.
That's what I do for you. It's cool.
But it was the most unsafe place in Denver, and it is now like rich.
Oh, yeah.
Like hoity-toity now. It's like one of the best places and most sought-after places to live in Denver because they took a crap ton of money and put it into 5 Points to get the gang element out, to get the crime out, and turn it into a good place. And apparently all the gangs went to Aurora, but they went to another place. But still, they need to focus on that first. Because all that money for incentivizing small businesses to open is for naught because they're not going to stay open long anyway.
Yeah, and it's interesting because a lot of those businesses, they didn't force them out. They definitely cleaned up the crack houses and the gang houses and just evicted all of those people. They seized property that was drug infested and went after the landlords. But the businesses themselves, as long as they were on the up and up and they weren't, getting involved in shopping cars or prostitution, is that they allowed a lot of minority businesses to thrive. And now a lot of those minorities live in the hoity-toity neighborhood. That is, you need to remove the railroad tracks mentality in this country. And I understand it. Like I've lived in the hood. I may look like a white boy, but if you saw me tag, you'd be like, holy shit, where did this white boy learn that? In fact, I was just going to say that my brother and I, Damani, don't appreciate the white she-devil over there telling us how to run our neighborhoods. But I think people need to understand is that it's a generational change, and it starts with the family. And if you can't instill family values and stop incentivizing these families to separate, and only giving them the option to go out there and bang or deal, you're creating this environment. And this is what Democrats have done. I know he only has 4 years, but I think if Donald Trump can find a project, a real one, and go into a city and demonstrate what it will take to clean it up, get a mayor who's willing to help, and go in and remove these elements from these cities and demonstrate, something's got to happen, because we're losing, tens of thousands of people to violent crime every single year. And although I understand it's a cultural issue, everybody has to pitch in. I mean, these are our neighbors. And if we're gonna somehow find a way to be Americans again, and we're gonna somehow find a way to get along again, we have to remove the bad and enhance the good. And right now, the bad is drawing the good down into a mediocre level of just defunct status. We don't invent anything anymore. We don't create anything. We don't write poetry. We don't have ballads. We don't make skyscrapers to the ceiling anymore of the sky. We are in a fucking rut. And America needs to take it back and be the leader of innovation like we were in WW2. And I think that's what Donald Trump is going to try to focus on, is how do we make us great when it comes to innovation and also infrastructure. At some point, it would be nice to see if it happens. Here is thank you very much, Patricia. Have you seen Yellowstone? Damani, have you ever watched the show?
No, I've heard a lot about it though, but I've never seen it.
Olivia and I love that show.
I just started watching Breaking Bad like literally yesterday, and I'm already hooked. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We lived in Albuquerque when it was filming, and it was funny.
Did
we
you
watched
really?
it. We're going, we know where that's at. We know where that's at. We knew all this stuff, and it's great.
Dude.
And then you got to watch Better Call Saul, which is the spinoff.
Dude,
Yep.
Damani,
Mhm.
Damani, that is my favorite series. It is so magically delicious. We were going to exchange cell phone numbers at one point. You need to take mine and text me, please, so I can have yours. But I want updates. I need to know the dichotomy between Walter and Jesse. I need to know what you think about Saul Goodman. I need to understand how you feel about Gus Fring. If Mike is the greatest character ever to be portrayed on TV that doesn't have his own show, why not? I need to know all these things, and I need to know them Mueki Tik, which if you don't speak Vietnamese, it's right fucking now. So please watch it.
Yes.
Watch
Yeah,
it.
we've watched it a couple times. When you actually go to Better Call Saul, which is the spinoff, and there's some parts where he works at a Cinnabon in a mall. That was the mall that we lived across the street from, and I worked across the street.
and I worked in it.
And ironically, where that spot is, used to be the old DMV, and that's where I had to get my driver's license when I moved to Albuquerque. And those places were right outside, is where I walked the mall when I was pregnant with Hayden to try and get me to go into labor. So I know exactly where all that is. It's pretty cool.
I got to meet Bryan Cranston, Aaron Paul, this Indian gentleman you're about to see in here. I got to meet him, Native American, whatever, feathers, not dots. I got, dude, one of the Macs, the Apple computers, two of them, two MacBook Airs, we lent to the Breaking Bad staff. Morris is one of the bodyguards in the film. He's a good friend of mine, and I hired him at the Apple store. One of the guys that, I'll just say, gets his throat cut, and that won't spoil it for you at all. He worked at the Apple store, was an actor.
Wow.
Because he was just part of the community. But Bryan Cranston came in one day, and I almost was like, I'm just like, oh my God, it's Walter fucking White. This is the coolest. Dude, I'm a nerd, but you gotta watch it. All right. So the reason why I ask is Yellowstone is an amazing show. And I'm going to do something. I have to show you the ending. of the last season. And Olivia is going to say, no, don't do it, Matt. Don't I'm sorry.
You're not
going to watch it. Trust me. You're going to hear what happens, and you're going to be like, we're not watching it. I already know. You're not going to want to watch it.
It's kind of like the Harry Potter show.
It's Umbrella Academy. They completely fucking went woke. I mean,
because Kevin
Costner. Okay, listen, everybody. If you don't want spoilers on Yellowstone right now, turn this off and come back in about 5 minutes. But Kevin Costner, we'll wait 10 seconds. Let's do a little Jeopardy. You have some Jeopardy for us, Liv?
I don't have it up because remember it's not working. You got to do it.
Don't yell at me, Olivia. Seriously, there's no reason to get grumpy. So
this is turning into like my Harry Potter show that was supposed to come out that I refuse to watch now.
Right.
No.
It is.
Oh yeah. Are you a Harry Potter fan, Damani?
I just finished watching all the Harry Potter movies. I'm telling you, I was homeschooled and yeah, I read most of the books. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'd watched a few of the movies, but I didn't get to watch the last 3 of them until about a month ago.
Gotcha.
So,
well, who was your favorite character?
The older I get, the more I begin to understand the motivations of the, like Professor Snape or even Voldemort to a degree.
Yes, Snape, dude. Yeah, hold on. I can't.
What does that
show
say?
You my
He's got the Death Eater mark on his forearm.
The snake.
Oh, I see it now. I see it now. That's wild. But yeah, that's how I know I'm getting older.
Yeah, so
I'm a Snape guy, dude. That's why I got it.
Netflix or Max, somebody is making a 10-part TV series of Harry Potter. They just cast Severus Snape, and I can't watch it because he is black. Severus Snape isn't black in the book. And I'm like, no, I can't watch it now.
Dude, why can't there ever be...
That makes me so angry.
What the fuck is wrong with it? What, and why did they have to make the black guy the traitor? And I mean, seriously, talk about a stereotype. I mean, you couldn't have given him Dumbledore. I'm like, you could have made Idris Elba Dumbledore, and I would have been like, okay, fine,
Yeah.
that's fine. But it's Snape. He's greasy-haired nerd. How many black nerds do you know outside of Urkel? There aren't any. I don't know one black nerd. I've never met one in my life. And Snape was a nerd. He was hung upside down, and his greasy hair and his pale skin. They talk about it. So it's not about, but Ariel's black. And you know what they're saying? Oh, come on, it's just one character. Not anymore. Like, it's like, oh, hey, look, there's a white character. Oh, nope, they got him. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. So, okay, I got to set this up. This is too long of a prelude, and people are going to come back. I love Yellowstone. It's one of my favorite shows ever. It's amazing. This season, basically, the Native Americans in Montana are living on the reservation. They play a huge part in these Texas cowboys who own, one of the Dutton Ranch, which is very rich, and they are kind of mafia in Montana. They're a little shady. They kill people. They throw them over cliffs, and they do some shady real estate deals, and they're not good people. But in the end of it, they decide to kill off Kevin Costner and then do a woke Native American ripping down the ranch, and the Native Americans get the land back. Something that would have been like the Vatican giving confirmation to the Virgin Mary or Mary Magdalene. That's what it would have been like between the 1200s and 1600s, is the Vatican saying, hey, Mary Magdalene slept with Jesus. Not going to happen, right? It would just be sacrilege. Nobody would ever say something like that. So this is almost to that point, because these cowboys and Dutton said, I will never give the ranch to anybody. I'll never sell it. Here's the video. You don't have to watch the whole show to understand this. Here it is. And I'm not making any connotation about Jesus and Mary Magdalene, okay, folks? I'm just telling you that there were people who pushed these things in history, and that would be antithetical to the Vatican admitting something to that effect. Here it is. If you've watched the Da Vinci Code, you know what I'm talking about. Here it is. Oh my God, Liv, this is so cringe.
My ancestors came here, land sold for $1.25 an acre, back when it was your land. Even though you didn't sell it, that's what it sold for when they took it. And that's the price I offer you. under two conditions. The East Camp I keep for my family, and you can never develop the Yellowstone, and you can never sell it.
We can't sell our land, Casey. We have laws that forbid it.
Is your sister okay with this?
She's okay with it.
I made a promise to your father once that I would one day have this land, and I would return it to the state that man found it. That would remove any evidence that he had been here. I'm sure he took it as a threat. And at the time, that's how I meant it. But your people are buried in that land, and so are mine. But it's sacred, and that's how we will treat it.
That's all I ask. Why not, Mila? Hamplechia.
This knife, where's my blood?
This knife, where's mine?
We are brothers now. To each other and to the land. I will deed this East Camp back to you, so your family forever has a home.
It's not as cringe as I thought it was going to be.
They tear down the Dutton sign.
Oh, okay.
Come on. It's just it would be like Luke and Vader before Jedi during Empire, and Luke, and he goes, Luke, I am your father. And Luke is like, instead of no, he's like, oh, well, that's not too bad, Dad. Do you have a getup like that I can wear too? You would just be like, what the fuck is going on? Why does everything have to be like in this show? There is no happiness. People die. It's dark. And now it's got to have this happy Native American. We're white. We stole your land, and now we're going to give you 800,000 acres worth $1 billion for $1.25 an acre because we were wrong. Give me a fucking break. I'm sorry. This affects me more than Damani. Olivia, go ahead, Liv. What am I missing here? You said it wasn't that bad.
I mean, I was expecting it to be a little more cringe. And it wasn't as cringe as I thought it was going to be. Like Umbrella Academy was cringe, and that was uncomfortable. And I will never watch it again because of what they did in season 2. And I heard season 3 was even worse. But, yeah, I mean, I never expected Yellowstone to end that way. To be completely honest, I expected the entire Dutton family to be murdered or killed off or something because they, I know Kevin Costner said he wasn't coming back for this season. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering how his character did get killed off for that to work. I'll probably still want to watch it just to see. But tearing down the ranch sign is a bit much, but it's not as bad as I thought. I still would like to watch it to see, just to get the end. And we'll kind of go from there. Maybe once I actually watch it and I see that entire episode in its entirety, I'll change my mind. But for now, it doesn't turn me off.
Well, you'll have to watch it because maybe I'm a little bit more sensitive to it. But to see the Duttons, who were a conservative Republican family, who were it was kind of like Dallas, the old TV show Dallas, and all of a sudden that it was just a dream, and Bobby's murder and all this was just a dream, and everyone was like, what the fuck just happened? This is the way this went. It's antithetical to the Duttons and who they were, that they literally bled and died and fought for that land since 1700s, right? Just to give it up for free.
1800s.
Well, the first one was
1883 is the first one.
Don't yell at me. Yeah. I'm so tired of
now if they fuck with 1923, that's when I'm gonna that's crossing the line. You better not mess with 1923.
Listen, we'll watch it, but I just can't stand the. I'm not a big fan of the Native Americans. The whole trope of that we have to live forever in our shame, and that we can never claim this land. Every single piece of property in the world has been conquered at one point or another. I understand. And you know what's really crazy is you can't tell me another group of people who have conquered who didn't literally murder all of them. The United States did some horrible things. The United States allowed almost 9% of the remaining population to live in the United States. And I'm not saying there weren't atrocities. It's almost to the point where, I hate to say this to be insensitive, why most conquering countries usually do away with whoever they conquer, because it creates this animosity and hatred and anger. We have to move on as a people. We have to figure out a way to forgive each other, because there's things that have been done that I'm not responsible for. Damani's not responsible for. You're not responsible for. Damani, tell me what we're missing here. I know you've never seen the show, but where do you land on all of this woke stuff, and how to make everything kumbaya and perfect at the end of a show that's usually pretty depressing?
Yeah, context aside, what's really interesting is, I'm a trends guy. I love looking for patterns and different clues in whatever content I'm consuming. And one of the things that I've noticed, particularly in these drama shows or anything that becomes mainstream, is there's almost a moment where, I don't know if you picked up on it, but it's almost like the characters start talking almost in this trance-like voice, and they're trying to soothe and make something sound as palatable as possible. And whenever I hear that little twinge in the voice, I'm like, oh, here we go. Like they're going to start preaching something to me here. And that's when any suspension of disbelief or any escape from a reality is stripped away. Because at that point in time, it's like, okay, this is the hardcore script that someone has to read and recite perfectly to try to drill a message into people's subconscious almost. And it's so grating, because think of the reason why so many people love getting lost in these shows and this content. It's because it presents an escape from that reality. And being forced to be, actually, I'm not going to say it that way. It's so jarring to be ripped away from that which was intended to be an escape, while you hear that same divisive message worming its way into everything that you've tried to turn to get away from it. There's a problem with a lot of the media that is produced these days having to all have a consistent message. I know that Disney, I believe, is making the live action Snow White movie, and that has just been a complete dumpster fire. But the reason that so many of these films and these productions aren't doing so well anymore, the reason that these studios are hemorrhaging money, is because people are tired of getting preached to when they're trying to escape for just a few hours. And if all you're going to do is preach to me, I'm sorry, I'll spend my money elsewhere. What's funny is I remember fondly those days when the Marvel Cinematic Universe was all coming to a head with the Infinity War, and all of the brouhaha around that. It was so fun to be a part of it. But I couldn't even tell you what's coming next from Marvel, because you know what? I don't care, because they destroyed themselves, and they deserve every bit of disrepute that they've received. And so many other studios are going to suffer that same end result, because for one reason or another, they cannot get out of their own way and realize they are there to entertain. They are not there to preach a message. And until that sinks in to their brains, and they're going to continue to hemorrhage, and deservedly so.
Would you rather your child had feminism or cancer?
It wasn't as bad because they gave it to the Indian reservation instead of letting go. Listen, you guys, it's all nice and it's all well and good. I haven't seen it. I'm just letting you know the reaction, and that's my job. My job is to show you what the internet is saying and what people are saying about it. Fine, we'll watch it. It's a great show. Maybe it's not as bad as you thought. But understand this. I want you to remember, for 6 seasons, these guys did everything they could. Killed, bribed, murdered, pillaged, stampeded women, and raped the cattle. They did everything that they could to keep this land. And in the end, they take away Kevin Costner and they just give it away. I think that it was an injustice to not have Kevin Costner there. I think Kevin Costner should have died fighting the government, because I think he would have. And the moment that the government tried to take his land, I think that could have been a unifying thing for the Native Americans and the Duttons. Fine. That's a better ending. But just a killing off Kevin Costner, and then having this ending where all of a sudden everyone sings Kumbaya, which was absolutely against everything that Dutton believed. It's hard for me to swallow. Maybe I've got to watch it. So Liv, we'll take it with an open mind. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds like you're already there. Sounds like I'm being a pig-nosed dick.
What's new?
Okay, easy, easy. There's no reason for those hateful remarks. Be right back.
The Dumb Store is veteran-owned with a 5-star diamond rating for service and satisfaction. We offer quality products like coffee, shirts, hoodies, and hats, all made by veterans. Shop with confidence, backed by hundreds of 5-star reviews. Use code DUMB10 to save 10%. Visit thedumbshow.com today. Thank you for your support.
Folks, we are on, let's see, I don't even know how many months. 10 months we've been doing donations. We've hit it every single month. And I think as far as the nightly contributions, we've hit that. I'm not even going to say anything. It's 20:47. So we have about 13 minutes. That's all I'm going to say. Let the magic wash over the crowd and watch this, Damani. It's amazing. I always get, you get nervous because it costs a lot to run these damn shows. And I'm thinking, oh my God, we're not going to hit it. Money's tight. What are we going to? These guys always come through. They take care of the show as long as we put on a good one. So I will end it on this. This is for Olivia and Damani to watch this video. This guy, what, Liv?
Frederick just said, sounds like Costner, Better Call Saul.
That's
pretty funny.
Fights for working people, no matter what.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
This is Ben Winkler. And if we take a look, the results are in as far as the election. Young voters, it is a 21-point swing. That is amazing.
That's a bigger swing than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought the young voters, it was going to be a lot more for the Dems than it was. That's huge.
That's such good news for us because, folks, the baby boomers and the Gen Xers after the next election will now be not as large as the millennial and the why bother generation or whatever this generation's called. And it will be the new demographic. The millennial generation will be like 51% of voters will be millennial. This is very good news for us. Black voters plus 16 swing. That's also ridiculous. And Latino plus 16. These are massive results. Democrats have an idea. Let's go ahead and get a progressive run media department. I already know that Damani is going to eat this alive. And I'm sure Olivia will have some opinions. Let's listen to what Mr. Winkler has to say, Mr. Fonzarelli.
What is your pitch to the Democrats for why you should take over?
Well, I'm running for chair of the Democratic Party nationally because my experience in Wisconsin is that when Democrats build a big tent that fights for working people, no matter what they look like or where they live in rural areas and cities and suburbs and small towns alike, we can win elections, we can earn trust, and we can show that we mean it by making a difference in people's lives. I think that's the essential thing. In this election, Democrats lost the votes of people earning less than $50,000 a year. And a lot of those folks were telling us they couldn't afford the cost of groceries. They felt like they weren't getting the help that they needed. They want a government that is on their side, and the Democratic Party is on their side. And we have to show it. We have to fight like we mean it. And we need to demonstrate that we're on the side of working people in every part of this great country.
What is your pitch to the Democrats for why you should take?
So calling for more progressive media, when that is the whole thing that just torpedoed the election for Democrats. I mean, let's face it, dude. If they would have put anyone somewhat capable, Biden would have lost, but not as bad as Kamala. I really don't think that. I don't care how bad the polling is. But if they would have put up like a Josh Shapiro, or even if they would have thrown Newsom up there, but Kamala Harris, let's face it, dude, she's like, she might as well have been a redhead. They just beat her senseless. How do you feel about that, man, going more progressive? Go ahead.
That was an unintentionally hilarious clip. It was so tone deaf. He lacks any sort of self-awareness as it relates to his party. You don't understand why people making less than $50,000 a year didn't want to vote for the same, more of the same. Like, we're in a day and age now where it's ridiculous that I've seen news reports saying that even people making over $100,000 a year are still living paycheck to paycheck in many cases. So are we just going to keep pushing that up? Is it going to be like, what, $1 million, what you need to live comfortably in America next, to devalue money currently, like they have in some African countries, to disastrous results? And they love to talk out of both sides of their mouths. We care about the working class. Oh, but here's $859 bajillion dollars to Ukraine. Oh, sorry. Oh, you can't afford your rent. Oh, that's too bad. We have this great homeless program in places like California where they will say it's for homeless, but put it towards something else. We're going to waste money on this and that. Shrimps on treadmills. I'm sorry, but most people out there, even if you claim to be a leftist yourself, you kind of like being able to go to the grocery store and buying groceries. It's kind of nice, right? It kind of doesn't feel good to have to wonder if you're going to be able to make it in this country if you're making even the median average salary. But now the Democrats are going to do their little retreat for a bit and come out with this new message saying, oh, we care about the little person, vote for us. But the good news is people don't buy what they're selling anymore. They're not going to buy what they're selling because there's nothing more powerful than reaching a point in your own life when you can see with your own eyes that the things that you claim to be in support of are actually killing you. And so great was that dichotomy, so stark was that contrast between those 4 Trump years and the 4 Biden-Harris years. It was so stark you couldn't ignore it, and you couldn't blame it on anything else in that changing of the guard at the top. You couldn't blame on anything else than wanton ineptitude, a lack of care for the average American citizen, and preferential treatment being given to people who shouldn't be here in the first place, to people in other countries. And I think one of the most egregious examples of that was, sometimes people forget, there's still individuals in parts of, I believe it's Georgia, Tennessee, and Kentucky, and some other areas that were hard hit by the hurricanes just a few months ago. They're not getting the news coverage anymore, but those people are still hurting. Some people don't even still have internet access months and months later. And you want me to sit here and believe that, oh, Ukraine needs a few more dollars. We're going to give some aid to African countries now. How about we prioritize Americans for a change? How about we say, hey, we're going to put you first for a change? People want to act like, make America great again. It's such a terrible phrase. Why? It's probably a bad phrase to those people because they don't even love America themselves. But there's people right here in the country who need that help that we can provide demonstrably, that we're giving away to other individuals. And until that changes, you're going to see a lot more people breaking for the GOP in larger numbers. And of course, it's incumbent upon those GOP leaders to actually follow through on their promises, lest they become the next iteration of what we just escaped from.
There it is.
But the onus is on us to follow through on what we say we're going to do and actually demonstrate, okay, you put your faith in us, and guess what? Your life is going to get better almost immediately just because of common sense policies that put you first for a change.
Yeah. I mean, how do you become more progressive? Start making the ABC and NBC in Cyrillic? I mean, I don't know how you become more progressive than what you already are. Liv, you don't watch the news outside of Fox. Whenever I get up from the breakfast table or the dinner table, you turn it right off. But you're fairly well informed on things, and this show has a lot to do with it. But why do you think the media is so far left of center when really, if there was one station that just became center, right? True centrists who did what we do, which is to bring the facts on both sides, even with Yellowstone, right? It's woke. Well, no, it's not woke. Okay, fine, I'll watch the damn thing. Holy crap, compromise took place. You don't see that on the news. I mean, you see people stick their flag in the ground over here, their flag in the ground over here, and they never, thou shalt not pass. What do you think turns you off so much about the media? And then we'll wrap it up. We've got 7 minutes to go, folks. Looks like we are $46 and some odd cents away. Go ahead.
Well, I think the media is betting on the American people still being stupid. Is pretty much it. They think we're stupid, and they think that we're going to continue to believe their lies.
I see.
I mean, I was not nervous about the election in 2020. I was like, Trump's got it in the bag. Biden doesn't have anything that he's selling that anyone's going to believe. He's, a lifer politician who hasn't accomplished anything in the 40 some odd years he's been in politics. And I don't think he's going to win, not with Trump's base. And then he lost. So to say I was not nervous during this election, I was freaking nervous. And I'm like, no matter how much his base is coming out for him, what do the Democrats have in store? You know, I was nervous, but now seeing the results of the election and that a lot of blue districts turned red, and that the House, the Senate, and everything went red, I think people are waking up. And people are realizing, and they're able to look at themselves going, how was I over the last 4 years? And Trump's been president before. And you know what? My rights were not taken away. My freedoms were not taken away. I wasn't put in a concentration camp. I wasn't ripped away from my family. I wasn't paying $50 per gallon for gas. And people were able to do the math themselves and the research. And I think people voted with their pocketbooks as opposed to what the media told them. But I think the media is betting on the public to still be stupid and to fall in line. They want a bunch of soldiers, and they want people that just follow them blindly and do what they tell them. And that's what the media is betting on. And people are starting to wake up, and people are going to stop listening to the media. I mean, we've talked about it. Legacy media is dying.
It's dead.
Podcasts.
It's dead.
Podcasts and social media are the way people get their news now.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main reasons that Facebook and YouTube and others are still trying to silence conservative voices. And I'm really excited for January 20th and Trump coming in, and I really hope something happens, since they can tell that social media is the way of the future when it comes to public information and news, that it needs to be fair and balanced. And I hope people can look at it and realize that media has not been fair and balanced.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think they're betting on being stupid. But I would not doubt over the next 4 years that one, if not two, of the major leftist news channels, it goes under or gets bought by a different company and it completely changes.
Yeah.
That's my bet over the next 4 years. I'm going to go with CNN's going to go first.
I think,
in my opinion.
I think we have to look at some of the things that aren't directly related to the election results. And one of the things we have to look at is a trend in Christianity. And over the last 55 years, Christianity has been on a not so steady decline. In the last 12 years, Christianity, thank you so much, Mel. Thank you for closing the gap, Mel. We appreciate you. And last 12 years, we've seen a horrible decline from where 87% of the United States recognize and align themselves with Christianity. And there was a predictive analysis focus of, in the next 30 years, Christianity will be the first time ever that it falls below 50% in the United States. That is a travesty. And it's not just because I care about your soul. Thank you, Amy. Appreciate you guys coming through. Thank you. It's not that I just care about your soul, which I do, but the moral fabric of this country has to have consequence. Otherwise, actions will go unchecked. And if morality is not defined, then people will continue to do immoral things. And the United States government it's not their job to instill morality in the people. They're there to enforce laws and to protect these borders. That is where Christianity comes to play in our form of government. And even though we talk about the separation of church and state, the founding fathers were predominantly Christians. A lot of people say they weren't. It's not true at all. In fact, 93% of the actual framers and signers of the Constitution and the Declaration were Christians. What they didn't want was to make a national institute of religion. They didn't want to make a national institute of language. And the reason why is because they knew that the United States was going to be an amalgamation of different people from all over Europe and all over who had different belief structures. But they did base the Constitution in Christian fundamentals. And if we abandon that, then we are leaving ourselves vulnerable for allowing the government to move from the Constitution of the United States because there is no consequence for them to do so. So to see the fact that Bibles have increased this year alone, have increased more than the last 5 years, there is a huge trend in Bible sales. And that is because people are looking for answers. And they realize that maybe science doesn't fill all the gaps. And even though science can answer a lot of things for us, It doesn't answer that moral objective of why are we here and what will happen when we leave. That question ultimately is usually a spiritual one, and one that science doesn't convey or explore. So I love seeing that not only we're seeing a trend in the generations waking up, but people are starting to realize that moving away from God was probably a mistake, and that there is something of value in rekindling that relationship which was lost. That gives me hope for the future. Anybody want to say anything on that? Because that's pretty, like, that's deep. Like, we went up to our knees there. Anybody? Bueller? Okay. Quick video. Canada. Why can't we do it
You
like
have a question.
What?
Let me get to it. Tom Shin, if you can look it up. Do you three think there is any chance the Trump administration gets a couple podcasters into the White House press briefings?
Damani, I already know that Trump has spoken on this. Do you want to touch on this, or go ahead?
I'm actually not as well versed as you, so I'll defer to you here on this.
Oh, give me a fucking break. Dude, you are shit. I'm not going to puff you up. I'm not even going to give you any love, because that's just stupid. That's like just throwing gasoline on the fire. You already know. Look at the brain on Brad. Thank you. That's nice of you, but you're very well informed. Trump's administration has encouraged that they want to have less journalists, less editorialization, and bring in more unconventional citizen media and podcasters. I would love to be in the White House press corps. I would eat them for dinner, and I would love it. But I don't think I get invited to that. But yeah, that's what he wants. Honestly, there's going to be a reckoning here. There's going to be a very big divide coming between conventional podcasters who are funded and have $1 million sets and have script writers, and they're basically just a microcosm of big media. And that is people like Tim Pool. Even though I like Tim, Tim's very well funded, and Tim makes a lot of money. Benny Johnson gets a shit ton of money for what he does, and they are still corporatized. Ben Shapiro is a corporation, and Tucker Carlson. I want the person who can create dialogue and conversation that makes you feel uncomfortable, and then when you're done having it, you come to a mutual accord that not only makes you feel comfortable, but helps you grow. And I like to think that even though this show is small, it's mighty, and we tend to try to do that. But I think you're going to see a partition be created, and I think I'm already seeing it between like the Daily Wire, the Daily Caller, the Huffington Post. Some of these other newspapers and some of these other media moguls are starting to fracture. And you look at the guys like Nick Fuentes, who make a whole lot of money, who are pushing anti-Semitism and division in this country. Those guys are struggling. And in the end, I think it's going to people, honestly, and this is me puffing Damani up, somebody like Damani, who is a good soul, who is a kind and genuine person. I'm not necessarily the kindest person in the world. You have an affable nature. I could see you doing this and doing very well. But I think people are going to start looking for the cleansing waters of Lake Minnetonka, and they're going to have to find it from some other place than the current media infrastructure that's here. Damani, I know you probably have a thought on that.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Matt. I really do appreciate you. I mean, y'all have always believed in me, even at times I didn't fully believe in myself. It's been a long journey, as y'all well know. This is all. I'll say this to jump off of your point. This is going to be an interesting time for the conservative influencer movement. Now, there's a reason that you're going to see certain faces, and they're going to see a bunch of content and videos come out the next couple of days, because Turning Point has their event AmFest going on, I think out there in Arizona, I think is where they're having it. I always forget. Yeah. But what's weird is you start to see this. Yeah, you start to see the same faces over and over again. I would argue in the influencer space, a lot of the bigger influencers at the top have sucked all the oxygen out of the room. And they're like, oh, I want to be the person that people go to. And it's like, there's people who are smarter than a lot of these big influencers, who don't have scripts, who don't have teams, who have more intrinsic motivation than these people who are able to sign on and get a bunch of money for these fantastic sets and all this crew who chops up videos and they're able to pump out content. And I want to see those kinds of people who are becoming the next speakers that you see at your next event. I want to see those be the ones who are able to actually find a way to amplify their message and hopefully even provide for themselves. Because for every Benny Johnson out there, for every typical liberal, DC Drano, Candace Owens, David J. Harris Jr., for every one of those out there, there's 25,000 other patriots who are just as much in the know and who have even more skill than some of these people who really have just become individuals who read off a teleprompter. They captivate your attention and they ask for donations when the donations should be pouring in. I'm so grateful. I'm so happy that y'all hit your goal this evening. But, there's people out there who have put a lot on the line themselves and they're not asking for much. That's my check, Matt. You've never privately cried to me about how you've never been invited to Mar-a-Lago for another Trump event, even though you deserve to be there.
Yeah,
I've never been invited there. I never will. And that's okay with me because that's not what the goal is. But what gives me hope for the future is now we get a chance to actually look inward as a collective unit, the influencers, podcasters, whatever title you may use, and say, okay, who really is working for us in our best interests? And who is going to continue to try to utilize, the generosity of the people who are giving, tens of thousands of dollars every day to the Benny Johnsons and the so on and so forth. We need to spread that around a little bit more because there's people who are so much more deserving, who have so many more skills, and who just need to be able to even reach a small fraction of the individuals that are tuning in slavishly to the few at the very top who suck all the oxygen out of the room. So kind of a long-winded soliloquy there, but it needed to be said. And, I've butted heads with a lot of them. That's why you never see me at their events, because they don't like people like me. And the thing is, if you claim to be a freedom fighter and you're a truth seeker and all that, you have to be realizing that you're not immune to criticism yourself. And there's a bunch of information out there that I'm privy to, that I know of personally, that would make people skin crawl if they knew what these, big influencers really got up to when they're going to these events like AmFest or whatever. I'll go ahead and leave it there. But just know these people aren't always who they purport to be. And they're hoping that you never find out and just keep those donations, keep buying the T-shirts and the this and the that from Benny Johnson or from David Harris Jr. so they can get on another flight and put a video up of them sitting there in the front row looking up sheepishly trying to get more attention because he hasn't gotten enough already, apparently. I'm going to stop there because I can go onto a whole tangent there. Just wanted to say that needed to be said.
No, dude, somebody said David Harris Jr. I'm like, if you want to set Damani off, just listen. I don't listen to David Harris Jr. The guy is a marketer, and I respect him for that. But here's the thing, is I'm not going to sit here and toot my own horn. I'm aggressive. I'm arrogant. I'm boisterous. I have no politically correct nature in my body, and I don't care if you're black, white, Jew, Gentile, female. I'm gonna say shit that's not gonna make you. It's gonna make you, hopefully make you laugh. Like the reason why I love Damani is because he laughs, and he knows that I'm not coming from a place of vindictiveness or I'm just we're trying to have some fun. But that isn't popular, and what's popular is telling people what they want to hear. I don't do that. I've never done that. I never will do that. I don't know how to do that. And this is why I fought many things, the narratives that have been going around from biochem labs in Ukraine to drones that are spying on us right now and Jewish space lasers that started fires in Lahaina. I fight this shit because it's a lie. And I know it's a lie because all you have to do is to stop trusting the person who's feeding you regurgitated nonsense and start feeding yourself. And it's something that parents start at a very young age to nurture and to bring up and to encourage their offspring to start being self-sufficient. And mentally, we have never been kicked out of the nest. We are at a very early age programmed by TV and commercials and whatever our parents think, and teachers teach us how to think and now what to think. And then we get to our jobs and they tell us what to think. You've never been kicked out of the nest. And I can tell you there are very few occupations that kick you out of the nest like the military. And although you are told what to eat, when to eat, where to eat, and how to go, having that absolute regimented lifestyle and having free thought taken away from you breeds free thought when you get out. Because once you have those shackles removed, man, it's like, my brother, set me free. And we have to find a way to set our minds free and learn to jump the nest. And it's going to take a lot of work, and I believe people like Damani are making it happen. How's Trey doing, by the way? I wanted to check in on him and see how he is.
Yeah, he's doing great. Thanks for asking. He's stepped away from the ex-Thunderdome, if you will, but he's living his best life with his family, his 2 kids now. I'm looking forward to going down and seeing him actually this weekend. We're going to go drive to San Antonio and see a good chunk of my family is there, even though some of the siblings are grown. So looking forward to that. But I'll pass on my regards to him as well, because he always speaks highly of you himself.
Oh, of course he does. Why would he do anything else? Here's the
I
last.
haven't met him yet. I want to meet him.
You have to meet Trey, because Trey is.
He came on when I wasn't on the show.
Yeah, if you're like, I want to meet somebody who's different than Damani, they're not, and they both have an amazing vocabulary. They are wordsmiths, but I like to think warrior poets, and I enjoy warrior poets. I don't like Taylor Swift on a talk show, Benny Johnson. And I just and listen, you know what? All the success in the world, Benny has done some great things, and he has done a lot of giving and charitable contributions. But he's a clickbait guy, and that's how he makes his money. And I don't care, whatever. That's him. I will just say, I just want people to stop ripping off my shit. That's what I want. Like, stop taking my stuff on Fox News. I know who you are. And regurgitating shows that I've done, and then the morning after my live show, you start saying things that I've been saying, and I'm just sitting here going, that's got to stop. If you want to borrow a concept, bring that person on and let them talk about it and explore it with them. We have to create thought leaders in this country. They are not just born. You have to develop people. So I would encourage places like Fox. Like, if someone wants to make a news station that's really going to be successful, the best way to do that is to find people who have no motivation other than to bring truth. That's it. They don't care about money. They don't care about contracts. They don't care about long terms. Those things will come. Let them tell the truth. Not their truth, her truth, your truth, just the effing truth. And if you don't know something, say the words, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with it. It is a completely acceptable answer. It is a full sentence. Please let me show you this real quick, because I can go on and on about philosophically where we need to be. Canada, this is what we're ending with, and then everyone gets their minute, and we're going to pop smoke. I usually don't give Canada credit because, they don't win the Stanley Cup, and, they're Canadians, and it's not bacon. So I just wanted to go ahead and say, you guys, as far as snow removal, like, the only thing that New Mexico has are hot air balloons and green chili. You guys have snow and maple syrup. And I got to say, you Canucks know how to frickin' plow a road. Holy shit, watch this magic. This is unbelievable. Wait for it. And you're like, there's a diesel truck over there. What's that diesel truck waiting for? That guy almost got killed.
Yep.
Wow, asshole. You just went ahead and blocked in every car. I wonder how they're going to fix it. Here it comes. Watch this.
Wow.
Dude,
well,
like, go figure. Those Zamboni creators. I mean, who
if they wouldn't do that, no one would get anywhere in Canada, because it's freaking like 12 feet of snow 6 months out of the year.
Did you just say snow?
Snow.
Is that what you are about? I mean,
Yes.
did your inner Canucks come out of you? Something I need to know about there, girl?
Yep. Hey.
You betcha.
Well, I did grow up in Montana.
You did.
2 hours south of the Canadian border.
Dude.
So I guess I could be a Canuck if you wanted me to be.
Listen, I'm all about, they need to become the 51st state. Like, I'm ready. Donald Trump needs to make a declaration. Let's make him the 51st. I love my Canadian people. I talk shit about them all the time, but I love my brothers to the north.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is from Canada, so can't go wrong there.
Whatever. I think his wife is a cover. I've been seeing some things about Ryan. I think he might be a little.
Are him and Hugh Jackman? Is there something we need to know about their friendship?
He might be playing with a different side of swords. He might be doing,
Really?
He might be working on the dole end a little bit. Yeah, I'm a little concerned. I don't think it's Deadpool so much. I think there's some things that we don't want to talk about. All right, Damani, since you are our very special guest, you're going to go last. Olivia, you get your 1 minute. I want to thank all the donations. I want to thank the people who've come through every night and help us hit our goal. It means the world to us. So thank you. We love you. We appreciate you. We're so excited for Christmas. We are going to be on until Christmas. We are going to go all the way to Christmas Eve. We're going to take Christmas Day off, and then we'll be with you New Year's Eve and the subsequent days. We're not going to take a lot of time off. There will become a time where I have to take a vacation. I don't know when that's going to be. I haven't taken one in 4 years, but I have a feeling this summer we're going to get out of Dodge for a little bit. But right now we're going to stay focused and keep working for you and keep bringing you the news. Livia, then Damani.
Well, you stole mine, but thank you all for the donations. Yenny says hi. Hello. That's about it. Thank you, Damani, for being here. It was great seeing you again. And thank you for the Christmas cards and the bracelet. I really appreciate it.
You betcha.
You betcha.
All right, Damani, go ahead.
No, it is always.
Can you believe I got
always.
her? Dude, the roofies and the duct tape wore off and she didn't leave. It was great. She stayed. I don't know why.
You're something else, man. you are a machine when it comes to those one-liners, man. I got to take after you a little bit more in that regard. But no, it's so good to see you guys again. Thank you so much for having me. It's always a joy to be able to really just coalesce with like-minded patriots. We are the future. We will continue to do great things together. We could not do it without the loyal viewers who choose to tune in and make us parts of their days and parts of their lives. And we cannot thank you all enough for doing that. If you are so inclined, you can find me not just at the website, DamaniFelder.com, but you can find me at all of my social channels. I'm on Facebook at Damani Bryant Felder. Actually, Facebook has been stonewalling me for the last year at this point. So any follows on Facebook or views there would be appreciated. Also on Instagram at Damani Felder. I'm on X at Damani Felder, even TikTok at Damani Felder. I'm on YouTube at Damani Felder. And I do have a presence on Telegram, but I don't really post there very often. It's a lifeboat of sorts, just in case something happens down the road where one social channel is taken away from me. I have to always be a step ahead of the powers that be. But, until we meet again, until I get to see you all again, thank you all so much for making me and us a part of your evening. We do not take it for granted, and it's going to take all of us working together to continue to ensure the best for America, not just these next 4 years, but long into the future. And I'm so honored to be a part of this journey along with you all. So God bless and God keep you all. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, Dee.
Merry
Dude,
Christmas
we love having
to
you on.
And your family.
When I said that, it was an open invitation. And a lot of people, they say that, they don't mean it. We will work around you. When you want to come on, you have something to say, you're always wanted. And you're always welcome. So just let us know. And don't ever feel like you're pushing. Like you get that in your head. You know how I feel like Marcellus Wallace, that shit, it's pride. Fuck that. Just put it away, man. Don't worry about pride. Pick up the phone. I know that's 2 Marcellus Wallace quotes tonight. And if you haven't watched Pulp Fiction, go watch it.
We need to see more pictures of the baby.
Yes, more baby pictures.
More baby pictures. I know
that's
Hayden
on me.
would love to see him too.
I'm going to send, I'm going to get my number over to you, Matt, after this, and then I'll definitely trade you. I'll blow you up for sure. Don't you worry.
Absolutely.
Love
it.
And I'll send you some pictures of Olivia that she doesn't want me to send. Loretta says, did you receive my package yet? No, Loretta, I don't. I did. It's at the post office.
If it's the big one, we got a notification in the box that
it's
we have a package.
It's a big package. You know damn well. Okay. We're talking about post office again?
No, we're not talking about you, dear. My goodness.
I told you I was black from the waist down. So
there's a reason. There's a reason I stayed after the roofies and duct tape wore off. But,
That's right.
Okay.
Good girl.
Yeah.
Good girl.
Okay.
All right,
Well played.
we gotta go.
Anyway, Loretta, I know, Loretta, we got the notification, but the post office closes after I get off work, so it's gonna have to be this weekend.
We're in a 500-person town. Like whenever the rabbits just go back into their holes.
That's when it closes.
We're a sundown town, so it goes down and we shut down. That's what it means, not the other way. Sun goes down and whoop. No, you can't find anybody on the street. D, thanks,
Good
buddy. We'll see.
clarification there.
Yeah, I did the back pedal. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow with
Thank
myself and Leroy on at 7 o'clock. God bless. Thanks so much, guys. Bye, D.
y'all.
Adjusting transmitter output.
See you, man. Thanks, D.
All right, brother. Hey, God bless you. I'll send you my number right now.
Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.